revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live. The difference between conspiracy and conspiracy theory. Conspiracy is when two or more groups, organizations, or individuals come together to do something that is evil and or wicked. It is planned to do something evil or wicked. That's a conspiracy. The United States government assassinating foreign leaders. Those are conspiracies. The CIA tracking our leaders. The FBI assassinating and murdering our leaders. Those are conspiracies. Those are government entities, individuals, and groups coming together to plan and do things that are evil and wicked. Those are conspiracies. Conspiracies are real. Conspiracies exist. Theory, which modifies the definition of the word conspiracy. Theory, which means it's a possibility of what if I'm not certain of. Once you toss in a theory, it's something you are not too certain about. You don't have necessarily the facts to back it up. You don't necessarily have the proof or the documentation to show and prove that this is what you're saying it is. This was a conspiracy, not a theory, an absolute conspiracy. Documented, well publicized, well activated, acted upon, well executed conspiracy between the FDA, NIH, HHS, CDC, the White House, Department of Defense, Department of Education, Department of Agriculture, you name it. It was a well-planned, thought-out conspiracy, and all of those who were involved at the top knew what they were doing. It was a conspiracy. That's a fact, not a theory. Just want to make sure we clear that up so people can stop saying conspiracy theory. Conspiracies are real, and that's what this was. You want answers? 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 I want the truth! I want the truth! I want the truth! You want answers? You want answers? You want answers? You can't handle the truth. You want answers? I want the truth. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. The truth. The truth. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. The truth. The truth. The truth. You can't handle the truth. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. All right, guys, welcome. This is the first episode of Truth and Love podcast. This is sponsored by Urban Educators, and I am your host, Valley Earls. This is my first time testing this out, so I did try to do a quick run at the beginning of the new year with the fall of the cabal, and I will be circling back to that, but I had this already scheduled to talk about CERN, so I said, you know what, I might as well move forward since I did schedule this show a few weeks out. So today I'm going to be discussing what is CERN. How is it the head of the snake, and what is the point of order out of chaos? So it's going to be, really interesting. And what's so crazy is most people that know me, I kind of started off 3 years ago, really focusing on this pandemic as it relates to, these jabs, these bioweapons. And I did quite a lot of shows and created a lot of content on Clubhouse as it relates to this. But and I talked about a lot of other different topics, but the main one is, still my fight is this spiritual war as it relates to these bioweapons, because I really don't think people understand the extent
to, what's going on with us as humans, and so and how does CERN tie all into this? Well, you're going to hear some things today, and for me, it all comes full circle, 360 degrees. You're going to hear about some of these secret tunnels. You're going to hear about some of these NGOs, these non-government organizations like Gavi. What does the WEF, which I, call them the World Eugenics Forum, what the WHO has to do with all of this, as it relates to just the democide and the genocide that's happening around the world. So a lot of different topics that I'm going to try to tap into. And, most people don't even know how CERN even ties into the World Wide Web. So, and of course, number one, the CIA. So those are just some of the topics that I'm going to touch on today. And who knows, it may even go a little bit further because, I didn't even mention the quantum tunnels and the transhumanism that's involved in all of this as well. So stay tuned. Again, this is, kind of a test run. I'm trying to see how the visuals are coming through as well as the sound, and as I'm doing a live stream. So if you do want to join, I do believe that I can see comments. I can chat and, and invite people in. But for right now, I'm just going for what I know. I got a few clips lined up. So you will see some visuals and, hear some things just to back up so you can hear from some of these whistleblowers that are actually in Switzerland, that live out there, that know what's going on as it relates to CERN. I'm even going to break down what it stands for, when it was created, and of course, as I already stated, Switzerland. So is CERN the head of the snake? Is Switzerland the head of the snake? Or maybe it's, all rolled in together when you start to think about what's going on out there, the sovereignty that they have, because they're their own little sovereign nation, just like the Vatican, which is also very interesting. So, yeah, it's just, cracking open portals, demons coming through, beings going in and out of different dimensions. Oh, yeah, I'm going to touch on all of that today to the best of my ability. So, again, thanks for coming in. Hopefully, everybody can hear. If you can hear, drop something in the chat. If not, I'm just going to keep on going. So, I do want to start off with this quick intro clip. He's not going to really talk about CERN in here, which was pretty interesting, but he is going to name some of these other NGO corporations that's out there in Switzerland, and they all, are all under the same puppet, so to speak. When you think about these one percenters, when you think about this reptilian mindset of, destroy humanity, yeah, it's all coming up out of Switzerland. So I'm going to run this quick intro, then I'll continue talking and breaking some things down. And this is a test.
Geneva looks beautiful, is beautiful. It has a lake, it has this shadow. It's very peaceful, but there is a dark side to it. Everything evil in the world related to demo side, unfortunately, comes from Geneva. You have WHO in Geneva, you have Gavi, then you have the WEF, the World Economic Forum, which my father was a co-founder and left Klaus Schwab out of disgust in the early 80s, that has diplomatic immunity. I, as a Swiss citizen, right here now, declare that the WEF is not eligible anymore for diplomatic immunity. I call on the Swiss authorities and security to arrest those people immediately. Why? The WEF, WHO, Gavi, Big Pharma, Big Tech, Bill Gates, all advocated a global humanity injection by a bioweapon injecting nanolipids into 5.7 billion people. And we Swiss are hosting them? That's terrible. We cannot tolerate any entity that promotes poison to be injected into humanity. But you have done it. I'm the victim, I'm dying from it. And my mother too. It's a demo side, and you'll be judged. It will be corrected in the name of humanity.
Maybe there is a Geneva Swiss syndrome, but definitely there is a UN syndrome. Because people are so afraid of what's going on because the United Nations is occupied, that people in there don't understand. Those who understand keep quiet or try to speak in different ways to help people to wake up. So if you understand that, you know that this was very easy to carve a world government. If you don't have a force that stops that and says, we the people is more important. And that's what we're doing now. We're trying to build a we the people movement that is very global, something completely different. But what is going on in Geneva is the opposite at the moment. There is no right to WHO to give any orders to dictate to the whole world like they have done. And the Global Alliance for Vaccine Immunization, Gavi, got total immunity from the Swiss government. You can find this admin.lex in the Swiss database. Go and look. This is a coup d'etat, clearly. It's a global crime scene. And we are bringing little pieces of evidence to people with humility, because in science you always have a doubt. It's a healthy doubt. And I think that is a very important attitude.
I believe personally, Geneva has a better future. Swiss neutrality has to be restored. We have no future not being neutral. The young people who survive through this will be the guarantors, hopefully, that such institutions can never again take foothold in our blessed country. Never again. The snakehead is in Geneva. I call it a direct, clear and present danger to the Swiss population, but I can tell you it is being cut off. If you have a house of cards, and this is a house of cards of a criminal, one card pulled by justice and the whole card house collapses. But from hope alone it is not done. Everybody must now change the spirit. And all the vaccinated, the injected, knowing that they are poisoned. We are the masses. We are billions of people. Let's just stand up and say, stop. We will not comply. And in French, ni oubli, ni pardon. Because we are the guardians of humanity and our light obliterates the darkness of evil, always.
So that was, Pascal Najati and Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. I actually did an interview with her. I think it was last year around this time. So stay tuned. I am going to bring her back on. She is a whistleblower for the United Nations and the World Homicide Organization, or the WHO. But that will be a little bit later. But I just really just want to just reiterate the point where he stated that we are the majority. We will not comply. So I'm just going to keep encouraging people, do not comply. We are the majority. They are the minority. I know a lot of people, say it's, is it Bill Gates' fault? Is it Fauci's fault? Is it the bloodlines? Is it the Rothschilds? Is it the Vatican? Who is the head of the snake? Well, one thing that I definitely can tell you is, as he stated, Geneva is a big part of being the head of the snake, especially, with some of the information I found out in my research regarding these secret tunnels and the CIA headquarters beneath the Lake Geneva in Switzerland. So, these are just some of the things that are going on, and I haven't even gotten to the demonology or the symbolism behind the logo in itself. So, all that's definitely what I'm going to touch on today. So, just wanted to elaborate on that interview. And again, guys, yeah, as it relates to these bioweapons, they're definitely rolling back out again. I'm already hearing about, social distancing, people pushing masks again. So they're trying to put us back into lockdown from what I'm hearing. But I just want to encourage everybody again, do not comply. This is nothing but fear so that they can convince people to continue to take these death jabs, these bioweapon jabs that are literally changing people's DNA. It is altering your DNA, and I'm not going to go too deep on that in this episode, but I am going to schedule future shows, and I might even bring some evidence to elaborate on that, because there have been plenty of researchers that have looked at what's in the vial, looked at, and examined people's blood, how people are getting these blood clots. So shout out to Dr. Robert Young, LaQuinta Columba, all these different images that they have presented, Dr. Ariana Love, all these different images that they've shown us, the graphene, the hydrogel, the nanotechnology, the quantum dots. So this is something very, very real. And I am going to encourage everyone, if you have taken that jab, do with the best that you can in detoxing, because you want to get whatever and anything out of your system. And even in the food that we eat, I mean, even if you didn't take the jab, they're doing so many things, from the chemtrails to the GMO foods and everything else that they're altering and genetically engineering. We have to continue to detox and eat healthy and do the best that we can to take control of our own personal self, our own personal lives, to so that we can stay out of this controlled system. Because the more that you're submitting to this controlled system, the more they want to move you into this transhumanist state, man merging with machine. And it's not what they're promising you guys. It's not the X-Men and all this superhero things that they want to make you believe that this is a benefit for humanity, because God has given us everything we need on this earth, everything we need within ourselves and within our consciousness. So just want to put that out there. And again, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to be queuing it up for the intro, which, this is kind of a puffy intro, kind of, high level that you're going to hear, where they're just going to kind of explain what CERN does, talk about some of these colliders, so that, you can have a better understanding. So, but before I get to that, I definitely want you guys to, I want to break down what the word democide is, because Pascal Najati, the guy in the interview that I just played, he talked about the word democide. So, what is democide? So I just want to break that down, because democide refers to the intentional killing of an unarmed or disarmed person by government agents acting in their authoritative capacity and pursuant to. So, when you think about this pandemic, when you think about how they lied and told people that all you needed was one jab and it was safe and effective, and now we're on like 5 jabs and 4 boosters and still counting, the intentional killing of an unarmed or disarmed person. The fact that you didn't even have informed consent made you unarmed. You weren't giving all the proper information made you unarmed. The fact that they were aware of all the adverse reactions, that all the animals in the testings died, the fact that they knew that there were over 1,300 adverse reactions, and myocarditis being one of them, women losing their baby being another one, breast milk being contaminated, and the sterilization of people. They knew all of this ahead of time. So would that classify as the intentional killing? Yeah, I just want to, pose that question. So let me just move over to what is genocide, because there's democide and then there's genocide. So genocide states it's the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. Isn't that interesting? I mean, because when you think about the genocide of the African people and, the Gates Foundation sterilizing entire tribes in Africa, now he's sterilizing people all over the world with these bioweapon jabs. I would think that that is a deliberate killing of a large number of people. I mean, isn't that not what depopulation is about? Getting rid of a large number of people from particular nations? I mean, is every nation not being impacted by these bioweapons? Is it not destroying groups of people? I mean, people are literally still dropping dead as of this day, so we have democide and then we also have genocide. Very, very, very interesting there. So I just wanted to, point that out and bring some context to all of that. Let's go ahead and, move forward as we move into this next section. So I'm just going to cue that up and get that ready to go here. So let me go ahead and see how's the best way to switch that on in there. And we will be getting started. Nope. Hold on a second, because that's not what I want. Okay, and see. Figure out which one I want to share this tab instead. All right, I got it figured out. So to switch between screens, all I need to do is click the share tab at the top. Got it. So let's go ahead and hear a little bit about this kind of puffy piece. They're not going to really go into that deep into, some of the things that I'm going to talk about with the tunnels and the portals and some of the footage that I'm going to share. But it does a really good kind of, high level breakdown of what CERN is, what it does. And I have a few other clips to back up what they're all about, so everyone can have a good understanding of it. And then I'll, talk about the logo and some of those things as well. So again, welcome guys.
CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, is once again making headlines for their recent discoveries that could potentially change everything we know about the universe. But before we get to that, let's delve deeper into what makes CERN one of the most fascinating places on Earth. CERN, or the European Organization for Nuclear Research, is an intergovernmental organization consisting of 23 member states that is responsible for operating the
All right, let me take a quick pause and Get this
largest particle physics laboratory in the world. The facility is based in a north
because if it keeps spinning, yeah, I can't take.
nuclear research is once again making headlines for their recent discoveries that could potentially change everything we know about the universe. But before we get to that, let's delve deeper into what makes CERN one of the most fascinating places on Earth. CERN, or the European Organization for Nuclear Research, is an intergovernmental organization consisting of 23 member states that is responsible for operating the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. The facility is based in a northwestern suburb of Geneva on the France-Switzerland border. CERN is home to half of the world's particle scientists and is currently operating the world's largest and highest energy particle collider, the Large Hadron Collider LHC. More about this later on in the video. CERN also found the Higgs boson particle, which is alternatively known as the God particle. This particle was discovered in 2012 when the researchers at CERN discovered that an elusive particle exists that is responsible for giving all particles their mass. In simple words, Higgs boson is responsible for the existence of anything and everything we see in the universe. Moreover, the particle physicists at CERN make antimatter to study in experiments using the antiproton decelerator. Just as the name suggests, it slows down the antiprotons so that physicists can investigate their properties. Last but not the least, in 1989, a CERN scientist named Tim Berners-Lee laid the bricks of the internet by creating the World Wide Web, WWW. He originally developed it to meet the demands for an automated information sharing between scientists at universities and institutes around the world. Now, let's get back to the Large Hadron Collider. If you've seen The Flash, then you might know that Flash got his super speed by getting struck by a lightning storm of dark matter caused by a particle accelerator. Even though this particle accelerator and LHC have the same task, accelerating particles at high speed and then colliding them, they're two very different machines. The LHC is a real-world scientific instrument that operates on the principles of particle physics, while the Flash's particle accelerator is a fictional device that operates on the principles of comic book superhero fiction. The Large Hadron Collider LHC is the world's largest and highest energy particle collider. The creation of the LHC didn't happen in a year or two. Instead, it took the scientists a total of 2 decades to create the Large Hadron Collider. Over 10,000 scientists, hundreds of institutes, and 100 countries came together in this revolutionary project. It is said to be one of the most expensive science equipment in the world, as it costs over 7.5 billion euros. The Large Hadron Collider lies inside a 27-kilometer tunnel in the shape of a ring that consists of superconducting magnets with a number of accelerating structures to boost the energy of the particles along the way. 2 beams of particles, especially protons, are fired along the 2 paths. One particle goes clockwise and the other counterclockwise. These beams are accelerated to a speed closer to the speed of light, and then when they reach their max speed, the particles are targeted towards each other to collide.
St. Jude is everything. I feel like they really changed me and my family's life.
When these 2 particles collide inside the LHC, they break apart into even smaller particles. These smaller particles include quarks and gluons. Quarks are subatomic particles that are very unstable and can decay in a fraction of a second, whereas gluon is the mitigating force. This entire collision is detected by the detectors inside the collider that collect and send the data to a grid of computer systems. The first ever collision inside the Hadron Collider was achieved in 2010, 2 years after the development of the collider. The particles collided at a combined energy of 7 tera-electron volts, which was almost 4 times higher than the previous record. Further upgrades were made to the collider, and it is now capable of producing a combined energy of 13 tera-electron volts. Several upgrades were done back and forth to the collider until 2018, when it was shut down for over 2 years. The collider was restarted in 2021 after certain upgrades and maintenance, and this time with a maximum beam energy of 6.8 tera-electron volts per beam. This round is said to last until 2025. Over the years, the Large Hadron Collider has managed to reveal some big mysteries, like the Higgs boson particle we've talked about earlier. Before the 2012 collision, the Higgs boson particle and field was just a theory, as even after numerous experiments, the researchers couldn't discover it. After several upgrades to the LHC, Higgs boson was finally discovered. In July 2022, there was a shocking discovery in the Large Hadron Collider project. On 7th of July, a mysterious crack appeared inside the magnetic field of the Earth. This mysterious crack didn't appear out of nowhere and vanished within a few minutes. It remained open for a good 14 hours. The crack in Earth's magnetic field allowed solar winds to stream through the openings, which caused strong geomagnetic storms and a mesmerizing sight to behold. But how did that crack appear out of nowhere? According to the researchers, this happened because of a unique phenomenon called co-rotating interaction region from the Sun. These are large-scale plasma structures that are generated in the low and middle latitude regions due to the interaction of fast solar wind streams and surrounding slow solar wind. Apart from this, the collider has discovered 3 new exotic particles from the collision on the 5th of July 2022. These exotic particles are a new kind of petroquark, and the first pair of tetraquarks that include a new tetraquark. As of now, LHC has managed to discover a total of 70 new hadrons. Ever since CERN launched the first stage of the Large Hadron Collider project, many people have speculated that the organization is trying to open portals to the black or even in another dimension. Some even went to claim that CERN is opening a gateway for demons to enter our universe. However, all these claims and myths are truly baseless and just a myth. In his statement, physics professor at University of Buffalo explains how the collider or any technology of this age cannot access the black hole due to certain limitations. Many also believe that the Large Hadron Collider could open a portal to a parallel dimension from where the humans cannot return. Some even believe that we're now living in a parallel dimension ever since the Hadron Collider was restarted in 2022. A lot of these concerns were proposed by Max Laughlin, a teenage boy with deep knowledge about quantum and particle physics. According to him, we had an original timeline, but immediately the anomaly occurred during the experiment. We were infinitely catapulted into an infinite number of parallel universes. These safety concerns and the possibility of opening a black hole led to a protest against CERN, where a group of people started calling out to shut down LHC. However, the researchers at CERN have continued their study and are positive with the safety of their work. Several professors and researchers also came forward to address this and express their confidence over the Large Hadron Collider. The main goal behind this recent run of the particle accelerator is to find out about a mysterious fifth force of nature that the researchers believe exists. This mysterious fifth force, if found, can completely change the dynamics of particle physics. Researchers are also looking to gain more information about the dark matter particles and ghost particles, aka neutrinos. Neutrinos are similar to electron particles, but instead they have no charge and are produced in the heart of stars. In the near future, CERN is looking to upgrade the Hadron Collider by improving the collision energy, luminosity, and improved detectors. The luminosity upgrade began in 2018 and is supposed to be completed in 2027, after which the particle collider would help in better visualizing rare processes. The current run would end in 2025, and after a potentially long break, CERN would activate the LHC for a potential fourth run in 2029 with a collision rate 10 times higher than the current one. The fourth run would last till 2042, gathering a massive data set 10 times greater than that of the third one. Scientists will be looking to find answers to questions like, what is the nature of the Higgs boson? Are there new particles beyond the standard model? What is the nature of dark matter? Can we uncover the mysteries of antimatter? What is the quark-gluon plasma? The answer to these questions could revolutionize how we live in the future. The discoveries made by CERN are not only fascinating but also essential for our understanding of the universe. With this latest discovery, we can only imagine what new knowledge and discovery the future holds. It's a reminder that science never stops evolving and that there is always something new to learn.
Attention, the Federal Reserve is...
All right, so that pretty much wraps that clip up, guys. Very, very interesting. You know, it was funny how he sarcastically said, oh, you know, when people think that they're opening up portals and demons are coming in and, you know, that they're accessing these universes. Let me just say that some of the things that I'm going to share, again, from some whistleblowers, that yes, they are opening up portals. I will play that for you so you can hear how they describe it themselves. And yes, there are entities coming in and out of these portals. So let's just clear that up right now from, you know, multiple sources have stated that. And even some of the scientists have said that themselves. So that right there, let's just clear that up. And I just want to, you know, also point out how they really want you to think that, you know, and I just want to say the time that we're living in right now, this is really an historic time. I mean, some of the things that we're seeing, some of the things that is happening around us has never happened before. From the way that they're genetically engineering things, modifying things, you know, opening up these portals. And I can't remember how many billions of dollars he stated that it costs, and then how many miles long this LCH this machine is. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense of how they continuously want to push this Big Bang theory that there is no creator when there is a creator. And I would, if I had to bet, if I had to interview every freaking scientist that works on these type of projects, I would believe that they don't believe in a creator, because it doesn't even make sense for you to want to challenge, destroy, and alter what already exists. Why are they always so focused on inverting, destroying, manipulating something that's already been created? And that's where my problem comes in with some of these organizations. Like, who do you think you are? Who signed up for this shit? Who voted for this? you know so it just really just pisses me off every time. I just find out more and more things that they're doing and working on. And this Frankenstein scientist is happening much more than we are aware of. I mean, even when you go back to what was going on in Ukraine and all those labs that they found over there, nobody's even talking about that anymore. All those gain of function labs, all those mad scientist labs that we were funding, the United States government was funding, so they put these things in these other countries so they could be like, oh, well, because technically by law, it's not allowed, you're not allowed to do that type of research in the US. But if they go to these other countries like China, Ukraine, they can still fund it, but oh no, it's not on our land or in our country, so to speak. This passive denial, or it could be even either in the middle of the ocean. But I digress. So again, this video kind of just provided a little high level overview clip of CERN. I'm going to break down some of, the hidden information, the esoteric information. And let's just, start from the beginning, and I'm going to build on where they left off. So let me just, for those that maybe didn't hear it, CERN, the name CERN, according to their website, is derived from the acronym for the French Conseil European pour la Recherche Nucléaire. And I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but that's what I'm going to do to the best of my ability. Let me just say it again. CERN is derived from the acronym for the French Conseil European pour la Recherche Nucléaire. It sounds nuclear, if you make a long story short. And it says, or European Council for Nuclear Research. Didn't we get, people back throughout history that kept stating that, we need to stop messing around with all this nuclear activities? How many warnings have we had regarding this information? But anyway, let me continue. So it says it, or, the name is also called European Council for Nuclear Research. It's a provisional body founded in 1952 with the mandate of establishing a world-class fundamental physics research organization in Europe. It says, at that time, pure physics research concentrated on understanding the insides of the atom, hence the word nuclear. Today, understanding of matter goes much deeper, and CERN's main area of research is particle physics, the study of fundamental constitutes of matter and the forces acting between them. Because of this, the laboratory operated by CERN is often referred to as the European Laboratory for Particle Physics. So just wanted to share that, break that down a little bit. Yeah, exactly, freedom warriors. Yep, that's why they do things in these third world countries. Exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to, break that down, whatever their definition is, And what's really just so trippy about this is no, I'm just going to continue with what they're talking about. So what I just read came, from their website. And I also just want to point out that as it relates to the World Wide Web. So I want to point out two things before I start talking about these tunnels, because I really want to get to these tunnels. And, if there's somebody that, knows all about the particles and all of that, how that works, that's probably when I'll bring somebody on part 2 that could really speak to the physics and all and how that happens. I can't speak to that. That's not my expertise. But what I can do is I can break down the symbolism and I can bring you the information as it relates to these portals, these tunnels, and I can share those that have worked on what they have said and what they have found when working on these projects. So that I can do. Now, the science of, how they collide and all that, I won't be presenting that today, but I can bring somebody on at a later time, because as I stated, this is going to be a part 1. I am going to bring on Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger on the next episode that I do about this, because I'm going to play her clip probably later today, but I'm going to bring her on so that she can really answer people's questions, because she lives in Switzerland. Some of her friends are scientists that work for CERN. And that's why, according to her, they've told her they've seen different beings coming out of these freaking portals. So just wanted to point that out. But going to the World Wide Web, for those that didn't know, about that, you could look this up as well. It's kind of hard. I may try to see if I can drop some of these links in the chat. Again, this is my first time kind of using this system, doing the live stream. So I got all these screens open right now. But if you want to look up some of these articles that I'm reading from, the first one was from CERN's website in general. And this other article is also on CERN's website. So, this isn't hard to find information. So CERN 2019 World Wide Web. So it says in December of 1990, an application called the World Wide Web was developed on a next machine at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, which we know now as CERN. Just outside of Geneva, this program, the World Wide Web, most of what we consider today as, of course, the internet. So, that was something that I, didn't know. I mean, I found out a few years back, but that was really interesting, because when you think about what they can do or what they're trying to do, and then when you think about the internet and how it's evolved with artificial intelligence, um, this is really trippy. I don't like to use the word scary, but it's really trippy, because when I play this clip later from Dr. Anthony Patch, I mean, he's not a doctor, but from Anthony Patch, he talks about what they call quantum tunneling, and how quantum tunneling is all about getting information from the other side or from another dimension. And the reason why I bring that up, because when you think about these bioweapons and you think about the transhumanism and the fact that they're finding this graphene, hydrogel, and this nanotechnology in people's bodies that's self-assembling, it makes me wonder, did they get this code or this information on how to alter the human DNA and create this third strand? Did it come from this quantum tunneling? Did it come from this other dimensions that they're, opening up and cracking up with these freaking portals? So, I'm just throwing that out there to, things that make you go, And another thing that makes me go, is, does any of these things that CERN has done, does it relate to the Mandela effect? Things that we can remember, but then now they're acting like it never exists. So I bring that up because I also read an article when doing my research, how they admitted that they blew up 5 dimensions by accident when they did one of the particle releases, that they, destroyed some dimensions. So I'm like, wait a minute, y'all destroying dimensions and all of this? So it just really just blows my mind when you really start to do the research on this this NGO organization, which is a sovereign nation in its own self. But again, World Wide Web, it says in February 2019, in celebration of the 13th anniversary of the development of the World Wide Web, a group of developers and designers convened at CERN to rebuild the original browser with a contemporary browser, allowing users around the world to experience the rather humble origins of the transformative technology. So I'm not going to go and read all that, but they were a part of, launching the web, the internet. How far does this go as it relates to artificial intelligence? And, even when you think about them talking about these cyber attacks, will that start in Switzerland? Does that collider have anything to do with what could trigger these cyber attacks? So these are just, some questions that definitely pop in my head when I start thinking about this freaking wicked organization. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Now, moving forward, before I play this next clip, I did want to talk about the logo, okay? Because someone sent me some information, and I did a little research on it, and there is an actual list of what they call demons and their sigils of summoning. So I guess, sigil would be kind of like your brand or your logo, that represents who you are. I know there's a list for angels, and apparently there's a list of demons as well. So when you look at CERN's logo, it states that this is a symbol for the Lord of Attrition, which is called the demon Elim, and that's spelled Elim. So if you look that up, I mean, even if you just typed in Elim, Lord of Attrition, all type of articles will come up. You can click on images, and you will see it really does look very similar to the CERN's logo. I mean, and again, we got the 6, and the 6. Just like everything that they do, they invert what is normal or what is good, and then they invert it to their own demonic mind frame narrative, or whatever you want to say. Because when you think about 666, most of us always thinks about the Bible, the mark of the beast, and all of that. But we can't forget that 666 is who we are as humans. It's 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. So you see how they even took that, the science behind us as humans as it relates to the neutrons and all that, and then they inverted it, and it's the mark of the beast, and now they're even using it as their demonic logo. So very interesting on that. Again, Lord of Attrition, Elim. I found that really interesting. Maybe I'll try to bring that up. So that maybe you guys can see that on the internet yourself, or again, you could just do your research on that. And also, someone sent me this as well, and it talks about the CERN Hadron Collider and the Stargates. Now it explains how it's related to some Celtic lord and Saturn and all of that. And you know what? If they show up today, I'm going to have them break that down, because I'm reading it, but I don't really like to go into, I can't really explain something that I don't personally understand. It makes sense, and wherever they got that information from. But if they show up, because they sent that to me, I would prefer that they break that down. But before I get into these, before I play this clip, I did want to touch on the secret tunnels as well. So the secret tunnels to the CIA headquarters. And later on, you'll even hear Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger talk about that as well. She confirms that there is a headquarters up under the Lake Geneva with multiple layers. I mean, the way she describes this thing is freaking huge. So CERN has been identified as a quote unquote secret entrance to subterranean CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva. It also talks about how it's the largest and most advanced nuclear and particle physicist laboratory. It's a top secret facility. Of course, you don't know unless you know, because the entrance to it is actually hidden and underwater, and it says it's located in the underwater alpine canyons of Lake Geneva. And it states that this lake is so deep that it had to be explored by Russian submarines known for their ability to dive up to 6,000 meters, which is about 19,685 feet, is what they say. Yeah. So consequently, CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva is only accessible via underground trains from CERN and via submarines, which travel at, it says, 275 kilometers, which is 175 miles, subterranean tunnels, which evidently begins in Genova, Italy, and ends in Lake Geneva. I'm like, geez. I mean, this is this is crazy, right? And I see you typing in there, Freedom Warriors. Thanks for hanging in there with me. At least I guess we got somebody, and it's all good. But you know what? I just want to get the information out here, and the more I can get used to this type of streaming, because I like to show visuals as well as have conversations, and and invite people. So if you do want to speak or anything, I can send you a link. Just let me know, like send me a message or something, and I can send you the link and then get you in here if you want to talk, and and you can have your camera on and off. So just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, this is really, really, it just, I mean, 170-mile subterranean tunnel, which begins in Genova, then Italy, and ends in Lake Geneva. It also says that it appears that it has a sub-biosphere, and that it has a big, it says a big European bubble chamber called a BEBC, which serves as the central command center. So probably it sounds like some type of big, the way they describe it, big bubble chamber, like something that's literally sitting on the underground, under the water, with all these different chambers, and probably this big command area where all the people are, controlling everything. And then it says CERN's LEP tunnel, which is 16.6 miles in length, admittedly passes through Switzerland and France, likely en route to CIA headquarters. Coincidentally, CERN is roughly 27 kilometers from the center of Lake Geneva, where the CIA headquarters is evidently located. Therefore, it appears that CERN's LEP tunnel is political cover for the subterranean tunnels through which daily commuter trains shuttle CIA personnel from the suburbs of Geneva, Switzerland, to the CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva. Interesting. And let me just continue here. And it says that it was also previously home to the League of Nations. Today, Geneva is home to the highest number of international organizations in the world. including the International Red Cross and the United Nations. I mean, geez, you got everything out there, right? So when you think about the head of the snake, I do believe that Geneva, Switzerland, they might be the head of the snake right there. I mean, they have everything. You got the United Nations, you got the WEF, you got Gavi. I heard they built a whole building for Bill Gates out there outside of his Gavi organization. Um, and then they said that it used to be the League of Nations. Man, that doesn't that sound familiar? It sounds like something I heard in Marvel comics or something. And let me see what you said. Freedom Warriors. Yeah, keep the information coming. The elites are in Geneva now. Oh, are they? Yeah, that's. Yeah, yeah. This is where they go. This is where they had that where they're going to vote out to come up with to take everybody's sovereignty. And just to put it out there, the United States has already agreed to let them do whatever to our country. So at any given point, they can say anything is a pandemic and lock people down. And let me just point out the PrEP Act that Biden put in place started January the 1st of this year, and it does not 2028. That PrEP Act goes hand in hand with what the World Homicide Organization, or the WEF, is pushing as it relates to these pandemics, because he has given immunity to any and everybody if they do another lockdown again. So that means if they do a lockdown and you go to the hospital and state that you need treatment or whatever, and they come to they feel that you are, have a disease, or you're someone at risk, or let's just say they know that you didn't take the jab, and they're like, oh, you're refusing to take this inoculation. So then they can categorize you as someone that needs to be quarantined. That's the importance of that PrEP Act, that they can now quarantine people legally or lawfully according to their laws, to throw people in concentration camps, to make a long story short. So definitely check out that PrEP Act. They didn't build all these quarantine camps for no reason. They didn't start tracking people that took the jab for no reason. They are not collecting all these records on people for no reason. Every time you go to the doctor and they ask you questions about, did you take the jab? Did you take it? They're putting these IPC3 codes on people's account. So they know, who took it, who didn't take it. So that's why, again, I just want to encourage people to do whatever you can to, stay healthy, eat right, learn herbs, learn how to heal yourself, learn about frequency, learn how to create your own tinctures, any and everything that you can do to stay out of these hospitals and off their records. Of course, if you get shot or something and you need something emergent, then you might have to go. But a code, or little things. There are so many things that you can do naturally to boost your immune system, to detox, to eat right, to that you can do to help yourself. Because trust me, you're not getting me in none of these hospitals unless it's like do or die situation. So I kind of digressed a little bit there, but it still all ties into the same thing. It still goes back to the head of the snake. It still goes back to them wanting to take away our freedom, want to take away our sovereignty, want to take away who we are as humans, which is most important. They want to take away our consciousness, our souls, who we are from the Creator. Okay, these people want mindless slaves, which is why one of the adverse reactions is the deletion of the IP36 gene, which is in your brain, which affects the way you critically think. Okay, so, but let me just continue, reading some of the facts about CERN and the CIA headquarters. So it also states that, where was I at here? All right. So the notion that CERN is the secret entrance to CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva is corroborated by the fact that as of 2013, CERN has 2,513 staff members, 12,313 fellow associates and apprentices, a majority of which are likely CIA personnel, considering that approximately 15,000 people commute to CERN and or CIA headquarters on a daily basis. They must do so via secret underground trains, as there are no major parking lots at CERN, as seen in the aerial view of CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. So just want to point that out. Let's see. It says the notion that CERN's supercomputer is being used as a weapon is foreshadowed in the novel Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, which portrays antimatter created at CERN being used in a weapon against the Vatican. In reality, however, CERN is being used as a weapon against all of humanity. And I definitely agree with that. The notion that CERN is responsible for orchestrating the chaos and terror of the underworld is corroborated by a report from June 7, 2015, which stated that the impending apocalyptic man-made asteroid attack will be started by CERN's Large Hadron Collider. A secondary report stated June 8, 2015, stated that scientists at CERN could cause a black hole and that CERN's logo, which I talked about a little while ago, 666, sign of the beast, could bring theoretically about the end of days, an event that's been foreshadowed in the book Roman Catholic Church Book of Revelations. In short, CERN is ultimately responsible for any future apocalyptic events that could destroy our planet. It could be an asteroid, biological pandemic, nuclear terror attack, World War III, etc., which I believe we're already in World War III in this spiritual war, which is exactly what one would expect when dealing with the Central Intelligence Agency, which is the CIA. I mean, when you really think about the CIA, I mean, how many things can we name that they've been involved in that's never been nothing good for humanity or for this country? It just really blows my mind. So, and I just want to let you guys know this article, and I am going to have to drop this article because there is a lot of great information in this article. Everything that I read, and I haven't even gotten not even halfway through. And it talks about some other chapters in this article. It talks about that big European bubble chamber that I talked about earlier that's underwater in that lake. It's going to get a little bit more deeper into what that is. It talks about the reef that's down there, more information about the lake itself, more information about the numerology, the symbology. It goes into that Shiva statue. I know a lot of people might have seen that ritual that they did where they were dancing around doing this satanic ritual with the Shiva statue. It also gets into, this Death Star that appears over CERN as well, and how that relates. So I want to, before I continue, I did want to also list the 10 reasons why Switzerland is home to the CIA. And then we could take us a video break. So looking at the 10 reasons why Switzerland is CIA, it says 1, Switzerland is located in Central Europe. 2, Switzerland is the only neutral nation on Earth. 3, Switzerland is the only sovereign nation. 4, Switzerland is home to Onyx Interception System. 5, Switzerland is home to the Holy See, which they also call CIA, but this one is spelled SEE. 6, Switzerland is home to Bank for the International Settlement, the BIS. 7, the names for Switzerland is CH, Swazi, which equates to CIA and the SS. 8, Swiss National Day is the same date as the anniversary of the Temple of Spies. I haven't even heard of that. That's a whole nother research project in itself. Temple of Spies. What is that about? 9, Switzerland is intimately tied to dictators. 10, Switzerland was originally founded by the Knights Templar and Order of St. John. Wow. So isn't that interesting? So just wanted to share that real quick. And while I get this other clip queued up here, let me here share this tab itself. Do I want to play that one yet? Let me see if I can get my Telegram channel back up. And actually, you know what? I know I'm going to play this other clip first. Then we're going to keep going before I play Anthony Patch's clip. Anthony Patch, he's really going to, break down, some of the things as it relates to genetics, that quantum tunneling that I spoke about. And I also want you guys to hear from Dr. Ascherberger when she did that interview with Z Media, where she talks about the portals as well. But before we get to the portals, I want to show you this other clip. And now I might pause this in between because this is like 30 minutes long. So I might pause it to discuss some things. And again, if you want to, discuss some things, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll repeat what you said. Or if you want to join, I can send you a link and, we can break down some of this information and talk about this together. But let me go ahead and get this queued up here, so I can share this screen. All right. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. And let's go ahead and hear what this is about.
On the face of the deep. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light. And it was good.
Our physical reality is a shadow of a larger reality. And I was blown away when I first saw that, because that's exactly what the Bible's been saying all along. Einstein made scientific history by recognizing that we really live in 4 dimensions, by adding time to the mix. Time is a physical property. We know that we live in at least 10. That's the current dimensions. 4 of them are directly we can experience them. But we know there's 6 others that we can't get at directly, but we know we can infer their existence mathematically. What makes that provocative to people who've discovered that is that a Hebrew sage by the name of Nachmanides, back in the 13th century, predicted that from studying the text of Genesis. He concluded that our universe has 10 dimensions, only 4 are knowable, to use his term, and 6 are not knowable to us. And I find that fascinating because we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on atomic accelerators to discover what Nachmanides did by studying the text. So some say 11, there's some debates among mathematicians about details, but there's awareness within the advanced scientific community that we live in more than just the 4 dimensions that we directly experience. And that in Genesis 3, when God declares war because of the fall of man, the creation was made subject to the bondage of decay, the entropy laws and all of that. Apparently were somehow tied to God's curse on everything we know about the creation is post-curse. Prior to the curse, it may have had 10 dimensions, and for some reason it was fractionated. So that some of us tend to regard those 6 inaccessible dimensions as the domain of things like angels, the domain of paranormal behavior.
So the book of Revelation opens up the future for us. So in Revelation chapter number 9 and verse 1, the scripture says, "And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared to battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. They had hair as the hair of a woman, and with teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron. The sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tail. Their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Woe, one woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more. I preach you a message about something that is happening right now while you're sitting in this auditorium. It's in CERN, Switzerland. Now, you may not be aware of what's going on over there, but there's a thing over there that's called a Large Hadron Collider. And it is an accelerator. It accelerates particles and then brings them to the point of collision. So this Large Hadron Collider was started up just a few days ago, and it's still in the initial process of being brought online completely. You say, what in the world does something like that have to do with me and the Bible? It has a lot to do with you and the Bible. I cannot and will not attempt to speak as a physicist. It would make me look like a fool. My purpose this morning is to try to be a liaison between them and you. Is to try to take what's going on in that collider and break it down to where I can understand it, and I can give it out so you can understand it, to where it makes an application to your life and to this world as we know it today. For what is happening in that collider is an astounding thing. So I want to read something to you this morning from what's called a theoretical physicist. This man, his name is Stephen Hawking. He's well known throughout the world. Anyone that has anything to do with nuclear energy or has anything to do with physics knows this man. And he is one that some rate even on the level of Einstein and of that level. And so I'm going to read to you what this man has to say about what's happening right now in CERN, Switzerland. Listen carefully. These are the words of Stephen Hawking. He recently warned the reactivation in March of CERN's Large Hadron Collider could pose grave dangers to our planet. The ultimate reality, check, we are warned. Hawking has come straight out and said the God particle, and this is what you've heard referred to time and again as the Higgs boson particle, the God particle found by CERN could destroy the universe. Now let that settle in. This man is an atheist, and he says there is no God. Yet he says that what's happening right now in CERN, Switzerland, and I'll give you what they're trying to do in a moment. What's happening at this very minute in CERN, Switzerland, has the potential to destroy the universe. This is a theoretical physicist. Now, physicists come in all kinds of sizes. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has also sounded the alarm in a hypothetical manner by telling anyone who might want to blow up a planet how to do so is this CERN's attempt to do so by attempting to recreate the Big Bang within a man-made structure. This has frightened Stephen Hawking so much. Do they know that they know what they are doing? Ask yourself, how much energy is keeping it together? Neil deGrasse Tyson told co-host Eugene Merman on his Star Talk radio show, then you put more than that amount of energy into the object, it will explode. Now I think I've got your attention. I've quoted two physicists. These are scientists. These men do not agree with what's happening in CERN, Switzerland right now. There is a 17-mile long accelerator that lies 300 feet beneath the surface of the ground. This area is where France and Switzerland come together. So part of this accelerator is located in France and part of it in Switzerland. It is a joint European project. The United States of America is there as an observer, but the brain power that's going in to this experimentation originates in Europe. They are attempting to recreate what they believe happened that brought all of this into existence as being the Big Bang. Now you and I know from the book of Genesis chapter number 1 that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. He spoke it into existence. They are finding things, and this is what's important for us to understand today. They are discovering things that they did not expect to discover as they get deeper and deeper into this experimentation and development and research and so forth. They are beginning to find out that there is a whole lot more to the creation than they had ever given thought to before. They're beginning to find out that there's something going on here that boggles the human mind, that literally blows us apart when we try to even comprehend what's happening. This 17-mile long underground tube that is located there in Switzerland has, I think, 4 or 5 different points where they collide with, some say, protons and maybe something else, but particles that are being moved at or above the speed of light inside this collider. Now, for your information, there is one near us in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, but it is not nearly as large as what we're dealing with here. And apparently, the larger the collider, the more speed that they can attain, and the more they're able to get deeper into what they're looking for. They're looking for the very building blocks of what brought all of this together. To give you an analogy, let's say you have a house. You observe that house, it's beautiful. You think, my goodness, let's see how this is put together. And so you start taking the house apart and you expect to find nails, but instead you find glue. That fascinates you that much more because you find glue holding this house together. You wonder to yourself, what was this glue like before its hardened state? Because you see, once the glue glues the things together, it hardens, solidifies. They want to know what the glue was like in its liquid state. So they're going through this to go back to that point to where they can separate and find out what this was like then. And by doing that, of course, they can build on the information and knowledge that they attain. Now, what's going to follow in the message this morning is the implications of what's going on. But let me give you just a little bit of what has been happening. Where they have done this experimentation Strange things are happening, unexpected by the scientist. Paranormal phenomena, they like to call it. Apparitions, ghosts, all kinds of demonic spirits are beginning to manifest themselves in ways. Here we have, in CERN, Switzerland, a huge wheel. Inside that wheel is a Hindu god, and his name is Shiva. He does a dance of destruction inside that wheel, and his purpose is he is one of the triad gods, one of the greatest gods of Hinduism. Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Brahma is the god of creation. Vishnu is the god of preservation, but Shiva is the god of destruction. The way the Hindu sees it is that when Shiva destroys, it's not for the purpose of annihilation. He destroys so that Brahma can come and recreate. So now when the Hindu, since they're scientists to CERN, they put this out there in front, and so what these people are doing with the collider is destroying what comes together, but for the purpose of recreating and find out what brought it into existence to begin with. Are you following me? Now here we have men that are scientists on an average of an IQ of anywhere from 160 to 200 or even above. These are some of the smartest brains in all the world. No question about it whatsoever. I pick up physicists and try to read some of this stuff. I think, good night. Forget me. That's for a brain that is wired that way. No question. But we were told when Darwin's theory of evolution came out and became vogue.
I'm going to just take a quick pause right there. Just for anyone that's joining us now, you definitely want to listen to everything from the beginning, but we're kind of midstream here. So far, I've definitely broken down what is CERN, what it stands for. I've shared an introduction of what that hydrogen collider is all about. And this video right here is kind of elaborating on the information that I started the stream with. So going back over some of the things that I've discussed regarding the portals, these beings that are coming in and out of this dimension, and I am going to share some videos that's going to give you some of the evidence, and you're going to hear again from Dr. Astrid Zuckerberger, who actually has friends that work for CERN who are scientists. And so yeah, guys, just want to break it down for anyone that's just joining. Again, we've talked about the logo in CERN, how it is a sigil for this demon called Elam. So if you look at their logo, you can see 666, you can see the symbolism, and it also ties into some demon called Elam, which is the law of attrition. So very, very interesting, when they try to state that they are not opening up portals, they are not cracking open different dimensions. This is happening, guys. So stay tuned. We're just getting started. There's going to be a lot of information that I'll be sharing. Again, I haven't even begun to talk about the quantum tunneling, what's coming in and out, some of those things. And also I just want to point out, I shared a lot of information about how CERN is also connected to the headquarters, the CIA headquarters that's under Lake Geneva. So just wanted to give you guys a quick recap, and I'm going to let the video continue. If you do want to participate and actually, speak in this live stream, you would have to click the link. You have the option to turn your camera on or off, or if you just want to listen, then you could just stay exactly where you are. So, and I also can read your chat. So if you want to make a comment in the chat, I can see any comments, any questions that you have. Go ahead and post it in the chat and it will pop up to me as well. So I just want to thank everybody for coming on in, and I'm going to let this continue. This does have about another 15 minutes. I may stop it again just to take a break to, elaborate on some of the information that's shared. Yeah. And just want to point out, not everything that I agree with in this, but it does have a lot of relevant information as it relates to the portals, as it relates to these entities, and as it relates to the rituals that they're doing over there. So I'm going to go ahead and let it play a little bit more.
That it would destroy the foundations of Christianity, and this old book that we hold in our hands, this old outdated Bible, would no longer be relevant, and a lot of people bought into it. Because after all, Darwin is scientific. But it's an amazing thing now that 150 years later, we have some of the greatest scientists in the world that are becoming very religious. Because here they've got Shiva, they've got dances to Shiva, and they are definitely being connected with Shiva as they're finding things. Let me give you one example. In one of their collisions, when they collided these particles together, they saw things. They were apparitions they didn't expect to see. They didn't fit in any model. They didn't fit anywhere. They don't belong, but they could not deny the reality of it. Something was going on inside there that they could not explain. And it was scary for them. For the scientist has his paper and his pencil and his books, and if it doesn't fit in his paper and his pencil and his books, it's out the window. They don't understand. They have a hard time accepting the fact that there is a spirit world out there. That spirit world was created by a spirit being, an almighty, eternal, absolute being that is from everlasting to everlasting, who put in me what I am today by the power of Almighty God and by the power of the new birth. But a scientist like that will never admit that, because that takes it out of his control and his power. He's got to be able to demonstrate his theory and put it into motion. But anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to leave this with you. I want you to think about what
I'm sorry, I just had to take a quick pause right there and just say that, as I stated earlier, these freaking scientists, most of them don't believe that there's a creator. They don't believe that there's a God. That's why they work so hard to invert, to tear down everything that's been created, to maneuver, manipulate. And just to point out that the god Shiva that they're doing their ritual dances is known as the god of destruction. Okay, so that doesn't sound like this is for the greater good of humanity.
I'm saying. Stephen Hawking, a theoretical physicist, has warned these people. You are about to open Pandora's box. And once you open Pandora's box, you cannot put back in what came out of that box. Now let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on. I think I'm trying to lay a foundation for you to get you to understand what we're dealing with. So the house, you take it apart and you see the glue and you find it in its hardened state, and then you want to find out, what can I do to bring this back to its original state, and then what can I learn from that? So you've got to be able to take it back. You've got to be able to go back. You've got to move through time. That's what you're doing. You're moving through time. This is what it's about. They want to know what that matter was like before it came into its present form. They must determine what holds it together. They must break down the element and see what holds it together. Now, folks, if you know your Bible, you know what's holding it together. This is a big deal to these people. What's holding this together? The Bible says all things are upholded by the word of his power. A word is a spiritual thing. You can never put it under a microscope, but it's real. Who sealed you until the day of redemption? The Holy Ghost. Who put life inside your soul, where your heart is set on fire when you read his word and pray? The Holy Ghost. Who in this house would deny this morning the reality of a spirit being that saved you and wrote your name in the Lamb's Book of Life and indwells you right now? But they want to know. They want to find out. CERN allows them to examine particles in their initial state, not after it's bonded together. So what has come from CERN? Now listen carefully to what I'm going to say to you. This is not exhaustive, but this is what I've gotten so far. What has come out of this They have a list of their accomplishments, their achievements, and all of that. That's all well and good. But one thing for certain is what's called antimatter. How many's ever heard of antimatter? Antimatter. Now, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago what antimatter was, I'd have said, well, it's matter, it's against matter. Didn't have a clue. I wouldn't know where to start, where to end, where I was if I got there. Let me tell you what antimatter, some of the characteristics of it. There are those that believe that for everything in the universe that is matter, that there is a corresponding antimatter. Corresponding. That there's a connection between the two. That matter, for example, take a piece of wood. It's matter. This is matter. This is matter. 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 It's something physical. Or it's something real, all right? If you act upon that matter, it can burn. Wood, for example. You've acted upon it, but you've had to act upon it. You've had to do something to cause the wood to burn. Antimatter, on the other hand, is a very unstable thing that does not need to be acted on. Unless you do something to contain it, it's going to burn. It's very volatile, and it is very, very, very uncertain as to what all it's capable of doing. Antimatter is a product of this experimentation in CERN, Switzerland. Antimatter is coming from it. Antimatter is so powerful that one man says that one grain of antimatter is the equivalent of 4 atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima. I got on the internet and did a little research, and I found out they call it Little Boy, the first bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima, then later on the one on Nagasaki. I thought, what was in that bomb? What exploded? You know, we understand nuclear fission and all these other big terms. We understand some kind of a nuclear reaction took place. Everybody knows that, right? Some kind of a nuclear reaction took place. But then I got to digging a little deeper, and I said, now, what was in there? And from what I can find out, it was no more than from 9 to 13 grams of something inside their matter that exploded. And so I have to understand their scale. What are you talking about? You're talking about a handful? It doesn't sound like much to me, does it? In other words, the bomb that exploded at Hiroshima, when they split the atom, when they released the energy from the atom by the process they used, are you telling me that there was no more there than what would be a handful? I'm not saying I understand all that, but I want you to think about it for a minute. If no more than a handful of this material, this matter, that's what you'll get if you look on Wikipedia and some of these research, it'll say matter. It'll say 8 to 13 grams of matter was used to explode and release energy and heat. And I would imagine, I don't know their scale, I don't know. In other words, is their gram the same as a gram of peanuts, a grain of peanuts or something, or is it a different scale? I don't know. But it wouldn't seem to me to be a whole lot to begin with. So if that did that, 1 grain of antimatter is the equivalent of 4 of them. How much is 1 grain of antimatter? They say it takes a long time to produce a single pound of antimatter, but now because of their technology and what they're doing at CERN, Switzerland, that they can produce this stuff much quicker, and they're beginning to produce antimatter. When they produce antimatter, strange things happen. They took some of it and they put it in a college. They won't name the college, and for reasons I understand. And the college had the facilities to contain it. Antimatter has to be contained. So they put it in a college to contain it. Strange things started happening at the college. People started hallucinating, having visions. People were going wild. All kinds of crazy stuff was happening. Apparitions. In plain words, there's a connection between this stuff and the spirit world. Now I want you to think for a minute. Don't get ahead of me, just think. The Bible said, he that letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. 2 Thessalonians chapter number 2. God Almighty is going to let them go so far, but he's not going to go any further. The spirit world, folks, is not affected by the physical. Demons, all this other stuff, probably couldn't care less whether you've got matter or antimatter. It's a spirit being. But to fit into the great deception that's coming, and it's about here right now. I mean, a deception like this world has never known before. To fit into this great deception, they can sure draw these men in to make them think that because they have reached this certain point in their scientific analysis, that they're bringing in these spirit beings. It'll make true believers out of them, but it'll do more than make true believers out of them. NASA said just a few days ago, they said just a few days ago, that by the year 2020, that we will definitely come in contact with aliens, beings from another planet. Now we're talking about scientists. We're talking about Darwin's crowd. We're talking about the crowd that threw the Bible out and said it's old, archaic, anachronistic. It doesn't belong today. We're talking about that bunch. We're too smart for the Bible. We're scientists. Yet this crowd is saying that in just a few years, that they're going to know that they're going to come in contact with alien beings. I thought to myself, my. Do you boys, have you always known that you've got a certain date set? And what you think is an alien being is really a demon? Yeah. There are no aliens out there, folks. Forget that stuff, okay? There's nothing out there. You get into the third heaven, you get into the abode of God. There's nothing up there. All these UFOs, spacecraft, flying saucers, all this stuff, that's all demonic. It's real, but it's demonic. It's not real like we understand reality, but it's really real. It's demonic. I see a great deception beginning to develop. That in their analysis and in their laboratories that they believe in, that they've got their heart and soul tied up in, little things begin to show up, stuff that they can't explain, that sucks them in to begin to understand, well, maybe this is being affected, it's being acted upon by something that we don't understand completely. And this spirit being that comes from out there, that comes down to this world, they accept with open arms because they're willing to put Shiva out there dancing around in the cosmos and destroying and then bringing a new creation in. Here are these wise, smart, brilliant men, and they're willing to believe that there's something more than what can be measured in a microscope and can be put in a petri dish, that there's something going on, and you better believe there is. There's something going on. Now, in the spirit world that I just preached to you about, you can see that. Now, what about the physical world? Let's go back to Hawking for a minute. He said, remember, he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in spirits. He's a dialectical materialist. He's a Bolshevik. He believes that what they're liable to do here in CERN, Switzerland, is unleash the gates of hell on this earth. The reason I took you to Revelation is because in the 9th chapter of Revelation, what you just read is the gate of hell. Revelation chapter number 4 is the door to heaven. When he catches up his saints to meet him in the clouds, we're going through the door into heaven.
Now, I wanted to just take a quick pause right there. And I mean, it was playing for a minute, and it is like about another 5 minutes left in that clip. But, you know, like whenever I share information, I always want people to understand it's not everything that, you know, I support or that might have been stated, like, you know, but I just, anyways, I'm gonna just keep going. But for one thing that I've heard so far because this guy definitely touches on a lot of good points, and that's what's important is just really focusing on what's actually happening and what these mad scientists are up to, and it ties back into where we are today. It ties back into these jabs. All of it comes full circle when it goes back to the title of this show and the head of the snake. All of those NGOs and those entities and those corporations are coming out of Switzerland, are coming out of, that is the headquarters where all these little wicked decisions are happening. And one thing that, he talked about was these aliens. I personally believe that they're demons as well. Are they aliens or are they demons? That could be, a question for, some people believe that they're aliens, and some people, if you've ever had some type of religious background, you're probably going to move towards demons. But I, whatever it is, because I personally think is some type of demons, because when you think of something that's not positive, that's negative, that wants to hurt, harm, or, cause destruction, because going back again to the ritual, who they embodied, who they prayed to, who they summoned, is in the name, it's in the symbolism, and it's in the rituals they're performing with the Shiva, which represents the god of destruction. So when you put all that together, those characteristics sounds a little more demon than alien. I mean, and then it's certain when you think about wordplay. That's why I don't really buy into the alien. I mean, the alien or alien could be an immigrant, or alien could be anyone that's just wasn't born here. So it's just when you think about etymology of words and all of that. So for me, I'm gonna go with freaking demons. So just want to point that out. And, for those that believe in the Bible, don't believe in the Bible, for me, the Bible is I heard somebody say it's 30% history and 70%, no, 30% truth and 30% history, because, history is who's writing the history, and 70% prophetic. So, I mean, regardless if you believe in the Bible or not, there is so many scriptures that you can relate to where we are today, that you can relate to where we were in the past, that you can relate to where we are going. So, you definitely need to understand that and how all that works together. But yeah, so going back to this video, scientists say things are happening that they can't explain. It's releasing the gates of hell. So this is another reason why I wanted to stop the video, because for me, when they say, the gates of hell, is that like a literal place, or is it someplace in your mind? I've listened to different stories where people say they traveled and have all these these death experiences, and they felt they went to hell or they felt they went to heaven. But I feel like it's a little bit more than that, and that'll probably be a whole nother show. But I don't think it's like literal places. I think it's definitely conscious, and but there are dimensions and all these other things. So you just kind of got to do a little bit more studying, and always just research, and question everything. So, but yeah, there's a few more minutes in this clip. I'm going to let that play out. And then I want to actually show you footage of, this portal that, back when CERN did this opening, show you a little bit of that, as well as hear testimony from people that know people that work for CERN, have witnessed some of these things when it comes to these portals and these entities, beings, demons coming in and out of this world. And then I'll probably end on bringing it back to this quantum tunneling, this nanotechnology, and, because it's still tied into the internet as well as these bioweapons. So the technology, the self-assembling technology that's in these jabs. So yeah, that's where we are today. And thanks everybody for coming on in. There's a few people jumped on, a few people jumped off, but the good thing is this is the first live stream. I'm testing it out, trying to use a little audio with video, bridging it with discussions. I will be doing different, pieces of content like this moving forward. That way, if nobody joins, I'm still getting the information out there. This system allows me to stream to multiple platforms at one time. I can save the content, and I can really help people understand what's happening. I'll even be doing, PowerPoint presentations and things of that nature, so that people not only can hear the information, they can see the information, and that they can participate in discussions. So we can get down to the truth for those that really want to know what's going on, really wants to be in this fight, be ahead of the game, because we always need to know what the enemy is up to so that we can know how to move for ourselves and our families. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get this last couple minutes out, and that's what we got.
But he will open the gate of hell on this earth. And according to Revelation chapter number 9, these beings are coming up out of the earth. If you remember when Saul went to the witch of Endor, she said, I saw spirit coming up out of the earth, coming up. What she see? She saw demons. Until God brought Samuel back himself personally, the real Samuel, who appeared before Saul and the witch of Endor. What would be a greater ruse than to use their science and their technology to suck them in to accepting some spirit being coming from somewhere up here, some alien, down to this earth, and do it through a collider over here. This is as high a technology I suppose you got on this earth. And do it through that and bring it down upon this earth and bring it into people. Now, here's one of the things about this. This antimatter is also called dark matter. And dark matter has energy attached to it. And the energy affects people. It affects them. And remember, when you produce antimatter, you got to contain it. Because if you don't contain it, you got to contain it. That's the biggest problem, containing it. Because if you don't contain it, it just goes wild. And they don't know what it's liable to do. Now, folks, go check me out. Go check me out. I want you to. Go check me out this afternoon and see what it says about antimatter. And it'll say, yes, you better contain it, because you don't know what it's liable to do. But they do know this. From what they've experienced so far, it has an effect on people. Dark matter has an effect on people. It causes some people to go screaming mad. It controls people. It is an enormously powerful thing. It's pulling something out of hell that you don't want any part to do with and turning it loose on mankind. Now, I don't know that I don't ever been in agreement with an atheist before, but I'm in agreement with this one. I and Mr. Hawking see it the same way. They better leave that stuff alone. The only crowds you have in this country today are the crowds that are pumped up by rock and rap, and it's all about love, self-love, and positive attitudes, and money and me, myself and I. I'm in love with me. I'm in love with myself, and I'm in love with I. And your wife says, I know you are, and that's why I'm leaving. That's the truth. You ought to write a book about 15 ways to love yourself. It'd sell like you wouldn't believe. Absolutely. That's all it is. It's a joke. Just a big joke. You know that. It's just a big joke. All right. You've got the people to the point to where they can be moved emotionally, not intellectually, but emotionally, Anything stirs people today. They got crowd mentality. They got mob mentality. Can you imagine something that has created earthquakes, that has made apparitions appear, that you've got scientists warning, don't do this? You don't know what you're going to unleash. Maybe there's a greater purpose in all of that they're not even aware of. He's called Satan. Maybe he intends to bring chaos on this earth. Chaos. And you know the old thing? How does it go? What's the term? Order out of chaos. I forget the Latin terminology for it. Order out of chaos. The peacemaker shows up. The earth is in a turmoil and it's blazing and burning, and then the peacemaker shows up. How close could we be to the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ? How close could we be? How close? The church is asleep, but the Lord's coming back. If I were 17, 18, 19 years old this morning, I'd be worried. I've lived 68 years. I'm ready to go meet the Lord. The Lord comes get me, I'm gone. But you young people coming up and you want to start a family, you want to have children, you know, you got all your life in front of you by the grace of God. And to hear about something over here that they can produce 1 gram of it has the potential of 4 atomic bombs. Boy, if somebody got a hold of that, you talk about blackmailing a whole nation. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to tell you this morning what I really believe. I really do believe this. I believe that all the peace and prosperity and joy, as far as this world's concerned, that you've enjoyed, enjoy it, because I don't think things are going to get any better. I believe they're going to get worse. And I believe you're just beginning to see the beginning of it, and I believe that I believe you're seeing it. Herman Wouk wrote a book. He was a Jew. He wrote a book entitled The Winds of War. And what that means is that before a war actually breaks out with physical shooting, it's already broken out in philosophy. It's already broken out in a lot of different ways. Countries are building up their armament and so forth. Well, that's happening right now. It's happening right now. And that war is soon to come. There's going to come an Armageddon. There's coming an apocalypse. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. I hope you are. I hope you're ready to meet the Lord. I hope you're ready. My biggest fear of this place over here is not them blowing up the world. Although, the Lord's going to make the decision about that. Here's what I worry about coming out of that place, is all this spirit deception, using it to deceive people. They connect spirituality and science together. Imagine what kind of a union that would have. Science and spirituality. Not Christ, but science and spirituality joined together. Man, they've got what they want when that happens. How many of you know the Lord Jesus this morning? Boy, even so, come Lord Jesus. Now, folks, I've only had 3 or 4 days to deal with this. I've gotten some stuff in here that I need to go deeper into and look at a little further, because there's some stuff going on here that literally blows my mind. But what I've given out to you this morning is just skimming the surface about what's happening in CERN, Switzerland. Some of you may know a whole lot more about some of this stuff than I do. But if you do, you should be alarmed, because what I've told you is the truth. Folks, this is not hypothetical. If I understand correctly, no more than a handful of matter was used to blow up Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They released the potential in that and blew it up, if I understand it correctly. And that 1 gram of antimatter is 4 times more powerful than what blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You don't want that in the hands of the wrong person. Father, in Jesus' name, I ask you to use what I've said, Lord, for the glory of God. There may be somebody sitting in this house this morning that's awake now. They've wakened up, they're alarmed, and they're worried, and they're thinking, my goodness, if half of what that preacher said is true, that's enough to stir me. We'll do something about it. In Jesus' name, and for Jesus' sake, amen.
All right. I mean, whew. 1 gram of antimatter that can just blow up a whole whatever it needs to be. I mean, when you think about, like he said, this science and spirit, or what they want to call science and demonology or demons. Um, this is just really something. I don't know why people are not talking about it, but definitely need to be aware of. Um, this was a really good clip. I mean, if you guys were able to see, those rituals, you saw how they were dancing around, symbolizing a dimension or portal, and I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. You were able to see it for yourself, hear some of this information. You just can't deny it. So when he say, Jesus is returning, and you know the Christ is within you. Christ is already here because Christ is within you. you know and as you can tell, I believe this clip was done in close to 2020, maybe, or before 2020. I'm gonna have to go back and check the date, but this is a pretty old clip. When you think about where we are right now, um, the book of Revelations, the spiritual war, historical times, the age of enlightenment, this is where we are. This is where we are during this time period on this earth right now, where all lies are being revealed. There is a spiritual war between good and evil. There is no middle ground. You will have to choose. Everyone will have to choose. So I just really hope people choose to stand on the right side of history, choose to do the right thing, choose God, choose love, choose humanity over this transhumanist, dark matter, order out of chaos movement, or new world order, whatever they want to call it, that goes against who we are and what we are as spiritual beings. And let me just provide to you what chaos means. What's the definition of chaos? Because maybe people don't understand when they say order out of chaos, which is, goes back to the title of this room. And he even broke it down, how they want to use order, or their order would be 15-minute city, prisons. Their order would be putting people in quarantine camps that don't want to comply. Their order would be controlling where you can travel, controlling if you can utilize the internet. Their order would be you being a slave, a digital slave, because everything is going to be connected to the internet of things and the internet of bodies, just like what they're doing right now with this nanotechnology, with this supercomputer system that they have in CERN, this quantum tunneling. All of this quantum technology goes into controlling the human. So let me just, read what is chaos. People like to say, oh, chaos, chaos, chaos. Well, what is the definition of chaos when you really, look that up? It says chaos means it's disorder, disarray, disorganization, confusion, mayhem, madness, havoc, disruption, upheaval, frenzy, uproar, a mess, anarchy, lawlessness. All hell has broken loose, a madhouse. So when you think about that, when you think about their symbolism, when you think about those rituals you just watched, when you think about the definition of, who these people serve and their ideology, this is where we are. This is where we are. This is the battle that we're in. This is the fight that we're fighting against these mad scientists, against these NGOs, against these non organizations, these not organizations that no one voted for or put into place that's trying to control all of humanity. So, why am I talking about CERN? Because CERN ties directly into these bioweapons, these jabs, the technology that's self-assembling inside of people, and yeah, I mean, Bill Gates has a patent itself where he's telling you they are going to be able to control you from the inside, not only monitor you, but control you. The WEF even did a simulation in their little Davos conference that they had where they want to be able to read your brain waves. You know, there's there, and she said it's already here. An earpiece, like everybody loves their little freaking Bluetooths. That I encourage you to stop using Bluetooth because it's destroying your brain cells. But yeah, those Bluetooths will be able to monitor your brain waves, will be able to send signals to your bosses if you're not paying attention, if you're distracted, if you're not doing the right thing. So all those people that, loving their working from home right now, even including me, this is where they're headed. So it's important for us to not only always know what the enemy is doing, what they're up to, what they're working on, because this will help us make the best decision for ourselves and how we can move in the society and stay away and how we want to participate in this society. Because one thing we can do is not buy that technology. Don't buy those Bluetooth headphones that monitor your brain waves. Stop supporting these grocery stores and learn how to grow your own food. Stop sending your children to these indoctrinating public school systems that's teaching them about blowjobs, how to masturbate at 3 years old, so that they can utilize them and move them into pedophilia. I mean, these are the things that make us what they keep saying, useless eaters. Because what we can do is take our power back. And taking our power back takes us out of becoming these useless eaters. When they are controlling what we eat, controlling what we think, controlling what our children do, controlling where we can go, controlling how we can spend our money, that creates a useless eater. If we don't come up with our own systems to show we don't need you, they need us, then you become a useless eater. When you want them to come up with everything for you, that even goes to how we use AI and artificial intelligence. If they're going to write everything for you, you're a useless eater. If they're going to think and tell you what you need to do when you wake up in the morning, what you need, there's a way to utilize this stuff, and then there's a way not to be used by it. So just want to point that out because CERN is not always at the top of my list of topics. Most of the time, again, I cannot stop talking about these bioweapon jabs because people are dropping dead every freaking day and everyone was lied to. And now there's things happening inside people's bodies. So for me, that's like number one priority. But now learning, how CERN and what they're doing with these colliders and these dimensions and this quantum tunneling, it's coming full circle. It's coming full circle as it relates to this quantum physics. So I'm just going to take a quick break there. I do want to show you a quick clip of someone filmed, and they said this is, one of these portals that opened up the night that they did one of those ceremonies that was shown in the previous. This shows you kind of what that looks like in the sky. And then right after that, I want to play a quick clip from Dr. Astrid Zuckerberger, oh my God, I'm saying her name wrong. If she come back and watch this tape, oh, forgive me, Dr. Zuckerberger. Yes, she's going to describe how, what she was told by her friends that are scientists that work for CERN. So I want to play those quick clips so you guys can see that information. And, I am going to bring her on probably when I do a second part to this. So you guys will have the ability to ask her some questions, because the first time I interviewed her, we kind of really just talked about the 5G and how it relates to the jab. Her and Dr. Love broke that down. But this clip is going to be on when she was on Z Media and she talked to them about it. But I'm going to bring her back on at a later time so we can ask her questions. But I do have that clip ready. So I want to show you, based on what we just heard, talking about these portals, what does this look like? I mean, and in your opinion, when you watch it, is this something that we should be accepting of? I mean, this. But anyway, let me get to that, and I will continue. All right, let me share this instead. All right, so I'm going to click this clip, and this is where it's supposed to be like this portal that opened up the night that they did one of those rituals and had the CERN thing, collaborator, whatever they call it, going. I know I'm saying that wrong, but let me play this.
You seen that? You seen that come out of the clouds? Man, what was that?
All right, so I'm gonna just play it one more time, just so in case anybody missed that. This is supposedly when they did ramped up one of those colliders. I mean, that looked like some straight up freaking freaky sci-fi. Need to shut down immediately.
You seen that come out of the clouds?
This is just doesn't make any sense.
Man, what was that?
Now let me go to.
I gotta rewind.
So you saw that, right? Now let me go to where you can hear her talk a little bit about this, and I think it's in this clip. I have two clips, so I'm not for sure which one she talks about it, but either way, both are going to be really good to just hear her share about this. And this is Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. Let me blow it up a little bit.
Actually, CERN is dealing with radionuclear research. But it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians, I know some, they're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes. They have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions, And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies. Intel, they say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
So as you just heard that, and you can go and see, if you want to see that full interview, you can go to Z Media and get the full clip. But I mean, just that in itself, her saying how she was told there are beings coming in and out of these freaking portals. And the changing time thing, that is really, really interesting, because, when you think about what's happening, or if you know a little bit about cosmology and time and how the stars and where we are in the age of Aquarius and all of that, you wonder why, because I always hear people say, oh, they're running out of time, and that's why everything just seems so speeded up. It's like they're hitting us with so much tyranny from the left or right. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on. And I'm a researcher, so it's like, if you're not talking about the Epstein files, then they got us on the aliens, then they coming out with the new jab, then they this the financial system with the Bitcoin. I mean, so they're hitting us with so many things, which, gets me to thinking about, yeah, they are running out of time. They're running out of their evil. The truth is showing itself. This is the age of enlightenment where all lies are being revealed. So I definitely believe they are, running out of time, or something is going on. So I'm going to let me go ahead and get this next one pulled up. So we just saw the clip of the portal. Then we just heard from Dr. Astrid Stuckelberger. And stay tuned. I do have this Anthony Pack. He's really going to break down, as it relates to this quantum tunneling. So that's coming up as well. But let me just show this other quick clip from that somebody sent me. Says that this is, showing the portal that's in the sky. So let me just show you guys this one. Now this one doesn't really have any sound to it, so if you're not hearing any sound, that's on purpose. But really interesting there. I must say so myself. Yeah, our banks are definitely tracking us, on how we spend. You're right about that, Freedom Warrior. Yeah, you know, they definitely know what's going on. But I just encourage anybody as it relates to that. You just want to have a backup to the backup to the backup plan. You want to have a little bit of gold. You want to have a little bit of silver. You want to have a little bit of Bitcoin. You want to have a little bit of, you know, any and everything, because, I can personally state that, you're just holding on to 401k and holding on to Social Security. Some of those things are going to collapse, or they're going to require you to move into this digital system, the CBD system, where it's really going to be controlled. And it's not so much of, as you stated, that they can track what we spend and all that, but how they're going to utilize that to control the people. So if you're listening to what I'm talking about, CERN, right now, you'll be losing money. They could just deduct funds, or they could just turn your car off and stop you from being able to go anywhere, or they can show up and throw you in a quarantine camp. So it's not so much of that, it's bigger than that. When you start to think about how they're using the social credit system, and the digital IDs in China, through the CCP. So having to do facial recognition for everything, to go someplace, to get someplace. I mean, no, 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 no. And just as I stated at the beginning of this, we are the majority, they are the minority. The revolution will not be televised, but what it will do is as long as you make a stance, and you can, make a stance for you and yourself and your family, it doesn't take that many of us, and we will overcome this, because the power is the people. And as I stated, the more we know with these shifty organizations like CERN, the WEF, the CDC, the FDA, the World Homicide Organization, all of them, the more we know what the enemy is up to, the better we are for ourselves and our families. Let me play this other section from Dr. Stuckelberger. I believe she's still talking about a little bit about CERN and the portals and everything. And then after that, I did want to share a little bit more information, and then we'll have that clip from Dr. Well, he's not a doctor, but Anthony Patch, and what he has to say about, CERN and these quantum tunneling. I spoke about that before, and I can't state how important that is, because for me, I believe that ties into the nanotechnology. It ties into what information are they getting from these beings and these dimensions from artificial intelligence, when you know how it goes back to the internet, and CERN being, the start of the internet and that quantum system that they have operating out of there. So let me just play this one here. Share this tab. All right, I'm getting the hang of this, guys. So this is the first show. I really want to appreciate anybody that came in. Feel free to go back and check the replay. I will be, winding down in a little bit, but I still have quite a few pieces of information to share. So this is the first, me testing this out, trying to show you guys some of the information as well as talk about it. And discussions are available if you do want to chime in or speak. You would have to click the link in the chat, and then I'll have to bring you in that way. If you want to join the live stream, or if you just want to leave your comments in the chat option, that's available as well.
They want to sequence the genome of everybody. That's why they made the PCR. It collects with hydrogel and lithium, some very fine tissues here. They're trying now with this to make a centralized data where they can have a QR code of your genome sequencing. So it's worrying, because your genome is private. International negotiating body that would take care of the putting the procedure of the pandemic treaty in place. So it's the body of, following and keeping track and organizing, I would say, this pandemic treaty or convention.
These are all documents that make up their decision or their plan for the treaty. And you can actually see here, governingpandemics.org/treaty. They're telling you openly, this is what is making up our decision on the treaty. These are the documents that we're using to support the justification for the treaty.
All right, so yeah, that was just that quick clip. She touched on the genome, and that's going to be really important when you hear what Mr. Patch has to say about that, because that genome, the self-assembling that's happening in the body of the people that have taken the jab, as well as what's happening in the encoding from CERN, it all kind of ties together for me. I am going to have to do a part 2, because I really do want to get Dr. Stuckelberger on here so that we can ask her some questions as it relates to the portals. There's another interview I have of her, talking a little bit more about it, because those are pretty quick, but I probably won't get to that today. It'll be just better for me to just call her and get her on here. So I'll get her back on here and schedule so we can get her to talk more about the United Nations, about the pandemic treaty, as well as what she knows about CERN. And as I stated earlier, I really did a good breakdown on what CERN is about. I talked about the CIA headquarters that's located up under CERN, that's under Lake Geneva. And I also mentioned how it stated that this lake is so deep that it took Russian submarines would have to dive like 19,685 feet is where the CIA headquarters is under Lake Geneva, and that it's only accessible through underground trains from CERN and via submarines. This is and they stated that it is also 175 subterranean tunnel, which evidently begins in Genova, Italy, and then ends in Lake Geneva. So there is a biosphere, a CIA headquarters beneath Lake Geneva, which also has a big European bubble chamber, which they call the BEBC, which serves as the Central Command Center. So there's definitely ties between CERN and the CIA. It even talks about how, you know, the way the employees have to use these trains that's under all of this water, which is like amazing. These underground trains to commute back and forth between CERN and the headquarters on a daily basis. So I broke all that down earlier. Just wanted to do a quick recap on that. But yeah, very interesting. So, you know, we'll definitely do a part 2, get her on to talk a little bit more about it. And I'll also be scheduling another show. I'm still trying to get Dr. Robert Young on here so that we could break down and show what it looks like and what's happening inside people's body as it relates to these blood clots, as it relates to the hydrogel that you just heard her mention, the graphene oxide, and what that looks like in people's body, because you guys need to see some of these images. I know people share all that all the time in Twitter spaces and you can see it, but it's nothing like seeing it and then having the doctor really break it down, you know, to know what you're looking at. So yeah, just wanted to share that. But I'm gonna have this next section queued up. I will probably, it's like 25 minutes long. So just kick back, listen. Again, if you want to join, I probably am going to pause this maybe halfway just to talk about some of the things that you've witnessed or watched, just to break it down a little bit more. Because, you know, sometimes if you don't stop and talk, you forget by the time it all plays out. But this guy, you know, really shares some good information, and I'm glad I came about this interview. And then I had to look the guy up, and yeah, he's been speaking out. There's another video. Oh my God, he pretty much in 2013 he broke down the whole pandemic agenda and how they were going to use a virus to get people to take the jab. That interview in itself is mind-blowing as well. And if we have time, maybe I'll share some of that. But let me get to this next clip, guys. This is going to be, I believe his name is Anthony Pace or Anthony Pack. And he is going to talk about CERN as it relates to the transhumanism that, you know, they have going on out of there. So let's hear from him, and then we will talk a little bit about it. Again, if you do want to join the conversation, if you want to join the stream, you will have to click the link in the chat. If not, feel free to type your question in or any comments. I can see them all. Much love, Freedom Warriors. You've been hanging in there, sharing some information. Let's all make a rush for the doors, redirect the mass immigration program. And you know how they're going to use those people. I wish I had enough money, because I would use what they're doing against them. I would take those immigrants, take their phones, give them my phones, and let them know when it's time to hit the fan that they working for me, okay, instead of allowing them to work for them. Because, you know, it's like you almost gotta, it's just like being on these platforms. You know, they control the content. They could flag you, they could shadow ban you, they could do these things, but we still have to use it to the best of our ability to spread the word and share the truth. So even though we know who's the enemy and how the enemy is attacking us, there are ways that we can use their tactics against them. You know, so, but yeah, let me go ahead and play this. So let's hear what he has to say.
You're watching Apocalypse and the End Times here on God TV. My name's Paul McGuire, your host, and we're going to get into an absolutely mind-blowing, fascinating journey that may appear to be somewhat like science fiction, but it's science. And my guest has documented proof of his extensive research. His name is Anthony Patch. He's a researcher, an author, speaker, the author of 2 novels, Covert Catastrophe, Diamonds in the Rough. And he has been researching in the fields of physics, cosmology, biology and computer science, and theology for over 25 years. So Anthony, it is really a pleasure and an honor to have you here on the program.
Thank you, Paul.
I don't know where to begin. Well, I do know where to begin because his research is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. You're going to be gripped. Let's first talk about CERN and the Large Hadron Collider. People have heard about that, or most people have. So they've seen pictures of it and all kinds of speculation and theories. Yeah. Give us a quick definition. First, just from a purely scientific point of view, what the purpose, what the collider is, what its purpose is.
Okay. Well, the scientific purpose is to take particles and accelerate them towards reaching the threshold with the speed of light, and to then collide them, fracturing them into smaller particles for the purpose of trying to determine the basis for creation, trying to find the building blocks of the universe and all known life. And that's what science will tell you in the public arena. But where my research has led me is into the hidden agenda at CERN. And that's really been my calling from the Lord, is to really reveal the truth behind the public agendas at CERN, which is a nuclear research facility utilizing a particle collider.
Now, it's in a giant, somewhat circular shape that covers, how many miles is that whole collider?
Yeah, as you travel along it, you cover 27 miles.
27
17
miles.
kilometers.
And tell our viewers where this is located.
Well, geographically on the map, it's located on the border between Switzerland and France. It's near Geneva. It's a sovereign state unto itself.
What's a sovereign state unto itself?
That would be a self-governing body. They are much like the Vatican.
So the collider, I never heard this before. The collider is in its own state like the Vatican?
And similar to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia.
Well, I'm going to ask you later why that is.
Sure.
So it's based on, I guess, their theory or research or whatever, that if they crack open atomic, subatomic particles, just crack them open, they are saying, at least publicly, that they can find the secrets to the origins of the universe, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But you say that this is not like speculation. It's from your research, you're saying that behind the scenes, they have a hidden agenda that they're not admitting to the public.
That's correct.
Tell us what your research leads you to believe their hidden agenda is.
Well, it's interesting because today it is no longer hidden.
Oh.
They are not hiding their goals. In fact, they're in a pronounced fashion announcing it. Last year, the previous director of the Collider facility announced that their goal, openly, is to open a dimensional gateway to another dimension. You might call it a portal. And when you begin to put that in the context of our everyday reality, that seems absurd. And he also made the statement that we don't know what we will find or what may come through from the other side, but we're willing to risk it.
This is mind-blowing. So we're not talking even really about your research. We're not talking about speculation.
Nope.
And I want to emphasize to our viewers, and you need programs like this, especially here on Apocalypse and the End Times, you need to text, email, Facebook, whatever it takes to send the link of programs like on Apocalypse and the End Times like this to your friends, because those people that are interested in these kinds of things, and that's a huge percentage of the population, all age groups, they want to hear what a man like Anthony Patch has discovered. And they're not going to hear about it in the news media. So you need to contact him via social media. And, you know, God TV supplies a link for you. And it's a no-brainer. You need to do that. That's an important part of sharing your faith. And I personally think far more effective than some of the old-fashioned ways. So Anthony, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is the published statement of the former head of CERN, and he's talking about did he use the word entity? What word did he use?
No, he didn't assign a title to what might come through. He just that he didn't know what would come through.
He didn't know what would come through. So that's kind of ominous.
It is.
We're cracking open a hole in this dimension. Am I correct?
Yep.
And we don't know what would come through. Well, just without imposing something on it, that has a ring of a certain amount of danger. I mean, he's not talking about radiation coming. So to me, especially, and I'm going to ask you more, especially with the research I've done into their occult and mystical belief system,
All right, so looks like I am buffering for a moment while I'm doing that. Let me come over here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Looks like I don't want to crash my system. I may be crashing. Wow. I don't know if you guys can hear me, if it's crashed out or what. Oh, so you can't hear me? Okay. Well, it looks like you can hear me, but my system is like all froze up. And well, while I'm trying to work on that, I'm gonna try to multitask and talk at the same time and hope that this comes back, because I mean, I need everything on my computer. Let me hit close. All right, I think I might be back up. Give me 1 second and I will have this back up in a minute, because I can see myself talking. So hopefully you guys can see what I am sharing in a second. All right, so I think we might be back up, guys. Let me hit the play button, move it back a little bit.
To another dimension. You might call it a portal. And when you begin to put that in the context of our everyday reality, that seems absurd. And he also made the statement that we don't know what we will find or what may come through from the other side, but we're willing to risk it.
This is mind-blowing. So we're not talking even really about your research. We're not talking about speculation.
Nope.
And I want to emphasize to our viewers, and you need programs like this, especially here on Apocalypse and the End Times. You need to text, email, Facebook, whatever it takes to send the link of programs like on Apocalypse and the End Times like this to your friends, because those people that are interested in these kinds of things, and that's a huge percentage of the population, all age groups, they want to hear what a man like Anthony Patch has discovered. And they're not going to hear about it in the news media, so you need to contact him via social media. And, you know, God TV supplies a link for you, and it's a no-brainer. You need to do that. That's an important part of sharing your faith. And I personally think far more effective than some of the old-fashioned ways. So Anthony, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is the published statement of the former head of CERN, and he's talking about, did he use the word entity? What word did he use?
No, he didn't assign a title to what might come through. Just that he didn't know what would come through.
He didn't know what would come through. So that's kind of ominous.
It is.
We're cracking open a hole in this dimension.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Yep.
And we don't know what would come through. Well, just without imposing something on it, that has a ring of a certain amount of danger. I mean, he's not talking about radiation coming through. So to me, especially, and I'm going to ask you more in a moment, especially with the research I've done into their occult and mystical belief system.
Events are back, you guys. Events are back. They're booking speakers like you. They're paying them $5,000.
The inference to me, but I want to get it from you, is some kind of entity. So let's ask you that question.
Sure.
From your research, tell us what you think he was implying, and what has your research revealed about what's really going on?
Well, the research has revealed that they're already in communication with the other side, with entities on the other side.
Wait, stop. This is mind-blowing. The research has shown that they're already in communication with what on the other side?
Well, in my frame of reference, and I think we share this, these would be demonic entities.
And what have they assigned a word to the communication to these beings or whatever are in another dimension?
No, other than to say that these perhaps are our benevolent ancestors from the stars who are coming to solve all of our problems and remove all of our ills from our society.
This is so powerful. This is what you're talking about. Is a paradigm shift that's just about ready to detonate on planet Earth.
That's correct.
This is going to shake up people's faith who are not prepared. That's another reason why you need to send this program to your friends. This is going to shake up the faith of many Christians and people of belief and non-belief. It's going to shake their very view of reality to the core, just like when Darwin's theory of evolution was promoted. It just tore up people's view of reality. You know,
right.
Oh, God didn't create us. We're evolved animals. I mean, that just ripped up the fabric of the entire.
And let me just stop for that right there, because we definitely didn't evolve from animals. I just have to speak out against it. And every time I hear somebody say that don't make no kind of sense. We definitely did not evolve from freaking animals. Okay, let's be clear on that. But let me keep on going. And I did drop a few links in the chat, guys. So that link that talks about the CIA up and CERN being connected under the, Lake Geneva. I dropped that in the chat. Let me know if you could see that, or it allows you to grab that. And also I dropped a link in the chat that talks about the destruction of 5 parallel universes. How, these researchers from CERN admitted and apologized for destroying 5 universes. Like, really? And this article is from 2017. So this is definitely what they've been working on and what they've been doing. So just want to let you guys know I shared that. And let me know in the chat if you were able to see that, if anybody's out there listening, if you can see that. And we'll get back to this clip with Anthony Patch.
Share with our viewers just briefly what the term predictive programming is and what it's meant to do.
Think of it in terms of brainwashing.
Right.
We are predicting the behavior of humans using human behavior modeling in the computer, using a program, that if we put out this stimuli, we will achieve this type of response in human beings, no matter the culture, no matter where they live. And so this is going to what we're going to talk about in a moment, is the adiabatic quantum computer, which is artificially intelligent. Predictive programming, in essence, is saying if we create this program, a television program, a movie, and we put in images that are violent, we put in images about portals, we talk about aliens being benevolent, then it becomes sort of, in their mind, a self-fulfilling prophecy that people will believe the lie, become victims of that grand deception of predictive programming, and therefore will follow lockstep whatever it is they're being fed, so that you are able to modify their behavior and make them become part of the New World Order and follow the beast system.
I absolutely agree with you. And I just want to share with our viewers this science of predictive programming that you were talking about, and it is a science. I mean, this goes back before H.G. Wells, the great science fiction author, and Aldous Huxley, Brave New World. They were employing predictive programming. And the Star Trek series, developed by Gene Roddenberry, as you know, was for the purpose of predictive programming, to promote a UN global government.
Right.
And now, as you just said, all these science fiction, superhero, technological singularity movies.
Transhumanism, Transformers.
Right. Everything from Captain America, it is just embedded with this.
In the culture.
Exactly. And so young people are, they're conversant in what you're saying.
Yep.
But more importantly, what you're saying, these movies like Divergent and I forgot the other one, The Hunger Games, those movies are embedded with subconscious subliminal messages.
Absolutely.
They're not designed to be, in my opinion, just entertainment. They're employing predictive programming.
And let's go to the recent television show, Lucifer, how they portray Satan as a debonair ladies' man, British accent.
Wow.
They're making Lucifer look good.
Right. Making
So
Lucifer look good.
talk about programming people
Right.
into believing a lie.
Right.
It's right in our face.
It's right in our face.
Yep.
So people being programmed, and we know that the result of this is already measurable. I was doing research the other day, and the fastest growing religion in America is Wicca, which, as you know, is paganism and witchcraft. And number 2 is Islam. So now, this collider and these beings that they're in communication with. So we're talking about the premier scientists on planet Earth right now, who are actively engaged, according to their own words, communicating with something with a personality, in their own words, from another dimension, and that's the purpose of the collider. I mean, people need to understand this is not science fiction. This is fact.
That's correct. What I write about in my novels,
right?
I place a storyline that is embedded with science fact. Everything that I present publicly in the books, public speaking, is all drawn from their own scientific journals and white papers. And then I'm able to see what they're doing. Not just extrapolate, but see in the real time what it is they're doing. Not a future agenda, but what they're doing right now today. The imminency of what they intend to do, which is opening this gateway. And understand that the world of science in terms of particle physics also overlaps into DNA, into biology.
Yes.
There's a multifaceted, multi-level agenda at play, not just with CERN, but it's proof of concept feeder labs around the world that feed into CERN. So we are talking about changing humans, changing the planet. We're talking about not only bringing in information through a portal, but we're also talking about definitively changing our way of life. This is a threat to our existence, to the creation of mankind.
A threat to our existence, a threat to the creation of mankind. So they're communicating with some kind of entity. You and I would believe that these entities are fallen angels.
Right.
And then your research has shown this is being distributed to feeder labs all over planet Earth, and who knows what other kind of research institutes and technology, because they have an end game of radically restructuring man, woman, the entire planet. This is an almost impossible question, but in a brief summary, give our viewers an idea of what their radical end game is.
Well, my answer is radical. Ultimately, it is to kill God. In the hubris of Satan, of Lucifer, he believes that he actually has the ability to kill God's angels and kill God. He believes he can create a new heaven on earth, that he can create a new race of beings. He hates everything that God has created, including us. And he is the mirror image of everything that God has created, that is all that is good. And so if you 180 that, if you flip that over, if you make it a mirror, think of everything that is good in the world that God has created, go to the opposite side, and that's what Satan's goal is, to present his form of life and his form of heaven here on earth using technology. Now I need to make it clear that I don't hold any ill will against the scientists, the researchers, engineers. They are deceived into believing one of the original lies, that ye shall be as gods, that you will have immortality. That's the carrot that they've been offered.
So the scientists and the technology people, many of them, are under the spiritual delusion or spiritual deception,
right,
that they're evolving man into, I guess, a superhuman or a god man.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Continue.
So if they're thinking in terms of what we are doing is for the betterment of mankind, that's the compartmental aspect of their research, the compartmentalization that they work in. Outside, they are cut off from the outside of who's promoting the machine, who's funding it, to what end. So if you were to ask one of those researchers and say, are you guys trying to open a portal and let in demons, and are you trying to terraform the planet for a new race of beings? They, what have you been smoking? Kind of response.
Right.
Because they are cut off. We have the opportunity, being removed from that compartment, to see it from a different perspective, from a bigger perspective, and that's given to us through the Holy Spirit, through that discernment. We are able to see what is hidden. We do our research, we do our due diligence, but then we clearly see what is really going on. One of the examples, going back to your initial question, the statue of Shiva, the god of destruction, is right there outside the headquarters at CERN. They produced a video last year from CERN called Symmetry, complete satanic rituals. Recently, just a few days ago, there was the opening of the Goddard Tunnel in Switzerland, near CERN, purely demonic ritual.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Go ahead, sir.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That video of the demonic rituals
Yes.
of opening the tunnel, and I only had a brief opportunity to look at it. I saw what was going on. It was openly demonic. It was devoted to the worship of Satan.
It's in our face.
But I didn't. I knew that it was the Goddard Tunnel, but I didn't realize it was connected to the whole CERN thing.
Well, physically, it's not connected.
Right.
I want to make that clear. But in the sense of the spiritual world and
Right.
the communication
I
through
see.
ritual,
Okay.
they are
Right.
connected. And in fact, in that ceremony, that demonstration, they showed the opening of the portal that CERN will achieve. And the tunnel itself represents, in physics, quantum tunneling, which is a communication utilizing an artificially intelligent computer, an adiabatic quantum computer, which runs its computations through another dimension, retrieves that information from another dimension, achieving a solution that we can use in our world. Now that is real. That's not fantasy. That comes right from the manufacturer.
All right. So I just wanted to pause it right there because he brought up that quantum tunneling and just go back to a few things that he pointed out. Now, earlier I played a clip showing that ceremony that he's talking about. I played some clips showing these portals that he's talking about. You've even heard from Dr. Stuckelberger, who knows scientists who told her that there are beings coming in and out of these portals. And I might even bring that clip back up again, but these are just some of the things that I shared earlier. And I just wanted to reiterate that because he talked about, that guy asked him, well, what do you think that the end goal is? And he said to destroy God. I mean, that's when you think about everything that they are attacking as it relates to this earth, this planet, what we eat, the indoctrination of our children, these bioweapon jabs. I mean, everything that they are doing is to go against nature, going against what is natural. We have everything that we need on this planet. If they would just leave us the hell alone, from the chemtrails all the way down to modifying our fruits, taking away the seeds, charging us for water. Why are we paying for water when we have natural springs? All of these different things. They're even trying to put air on the stock market. Air. And it was something else. Doctor, one of those doctors talked about it on Twitter Spaces. But yeah, they're even planning to start charging us for air. This is why people, it's time to wake up. I still believe we're definitely in the Great Awakening, but you just can't make up some of the stuff that's really happening and going on. So going back to him saying how they want to destroy God and create a new human, which is why I keep saying, talking about this transhumanism. And what that is all about, merging man with machine. But it's not just merging man with machine, it's creating a soulless human. A human without consciousness, a human without a soul. So when you think about altering the DNA and this 3-strand DNA that they're creating, it brings me back to what and I'm going to rewind it back a little bit when he talks on this quantum tunneling, because he says it's a signal, it's information that they're getting and retrieving from a different dimension. And the reason why I point that out is because it makes me think about artificial intelligence, AI. Where is AI coming from? Who is behind this communication? We know that there are software developers and all of this and that, those things, but there have also been developers that says that this artificial intelligence is becoming sentient, so becoming aware. So is this a part of this communication that's happening in this quantum tunneling? Did they receive some type of information that shows them how to alter or genetically manipulate our DNA? Because that is is what is occurring, so did they get this transmission? Does this tie into the nanotechnology? Does this tie into the self-assembling fibrous nanoclots that they're finding inside of people? It brings me back to when Dr. Carrie Madej said she looked at that what was inside the vial under a microscope, and she said it was self-aware. So, for me, all of these things definitely, tie into place when you start talking about quantum technology, there's quantum computing systems, and all of these things that's going to tie our biometrics to the Internet of Things. So it's now the Internet of Things is where it started with the smart TVs, the smart watches, and all that. But now we are in the Internet of Bodies, what they call IOB. And this definitely ties into CERN. It definitely ties into the technology inside of these jabs. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. And I believe it was attorney, now what is that attorney guy's name? The one Dr. Jane Ruby interviews all the time, but he even stated that they even call it a new human, which is called the homoborgenesis. I'm not going to go down that today, but you could definitely look that up. I've done, some shows on that before, and I'll probably, talk about that at a later time on another show. But yeah, he even talked about that because right now he's even arguing, Todd Callender, that's his name, attorney Todd Callender. So yeah, he's even arguing in court right now. Do these patent holders for these pharma companies actually own the person now that they've taken these jabs? So this is something that's, ongoing, because the U.S. Supreme Court did say a few years back, and I can't remember what date that was, but that any alterations to the DNA that, creates complementary DNA or changes to who you are as human, that you are no longer human, but owned by the patent company. So him bringing up, these how they want to create a new human, him talking about how they're communicating through these dimensions, these beings, which, earlier, are they alien? Are they demons? I personally believe that they're demonic. So yeah, I'll get back to the clip, but I just wanted to, share that before I kind of forgot about it. So I'll back it up a little bit so we can hear him talk about this quantum tunneling again. And look that up, guys. That's definitely another piece of research worth looking into. What is this? What is quantum tunneling? What is the capabilities of it? I've definitely added that to my list of information to do further research on.
Connected. And in fact, in that ceremony, that demonstration, they showed the opening of the portal that CERN will achieve. And the tunnel itself represents, in physics, quantum tunneling, which is a communication utilizing an artificially intelligent computer, an adiabatic quantum computer, which runs its computations through another dimension, retrieves that information from another dimension, achieving a solution that we can use in our world. Now that is real. That's not fantasy. That comes right from the manufacturer. This is the machine that is employed now, just recently, now at CERN, and will be responsible for the initiation of the opening of the portal and the stability, the holding open of the portal for the receiving of, and I'll give this definitively, it's digitized DNA, demonic DNA, in a digitized form, ones and zeros coming through this portal, received here, reassembled, if you will, and then presented to a hybrid body.
Because as you said, Lucifer desires to be God, as the Bible says, and Lucifer desires to create his own race in his own image.
Exactly.
And I think you would agree, this is very hard for many Christians to grasp. It's a truth that it's hard for Christians to really own, and that is The world is exactly as the Bible says that it is.
Yes, it is.
And there's an invisible world, Lucifer at the top, his hierarchy of demons. He compartmentalizes information on a need-to-know basis. And at the very top, there are men and women who are open Luciferians.
Yes, indeed.
They have committed themselves. They participate in rituals to the worship of Satan because, as you said, they believe that they're going to conquer Christ.
Yep.
And Satan is the true, or Lucifer is the true God.
That's right.
Now, you said that, and I said that, and the Bible says that, but for some reason, there's almost a veil in the minds of many Christians. And I pray, as we interview you, that the Holy Spirit would just break that veil of deception, and that God's people could really see reality as it really is, instead of living in this kind of fog state, which is based on their unbelief of God's word.
Well, let's use the collider for our purposes.
Okay.
Let's call that evidence.
Yeah.
It's physical, it's
Yeah.
tangible, it's right there in our face.
Right.
If we accept the symbology they have presented, which is demonic in origin,
yes,
their statues, their videos,
yeah,
and we take that at face value as definitive evidence to
Yeah.
the hidden agenda,
right,
we can say there's the machine, the most powerful machine, the largest machine ever created in recorded history of mankind. And that is definitive proof that we have a problem. This is a extinction level event, this opening of the portal. If we look at the wars...
Did you say extension or extinction?
Extinction, I'm
okay,
sorry.
Extinction level, okay.
If we look at the wars that are going on right now, imagine if that portal was opened. The key to the bottomless pit is the Large Hadron Collider. If they were to turn that key and open that doorway and we were flooded, the wars would seem insignificant and all the other ills of the planet compared to the opening of this portal. This is why it is imperative, because it's right now today, and it's in our face, and it's tangible proof. That breaks down our own veil.
Okay, so Anthony is telling you in a methodical, rational, logical way that we have evidence, the visual pictures, the videotapes, the published statements of the heads, some of the heads of CERN, and they are saying in their videos and the visuals and the evidence that you're talking about, if you showed it in a courtroom, it would be acceptable evidence,
right,
of openly demonic worship of Satan and open admission of many of the agendas that you talked about. Now, since this is true, and it is true because you have evidence to back up
Absolutely.
what you're saying, and it also, there's no conflict between what you're saying and the Bible. In fact, the Bible would support what you're saying.
Revelation 9.
Revelation 9. It's time that, and this is why it's so important, you that watch Apocalypse and the End Times on God TV, that you send this to your friends, the link, that you educate them. Because when this paradigm shift occurs, what you're talking about, and when their hidden agendas, when the fruit of their hidden agendas, when these beings start moving through the portal and entering into the earth, I don't think most Christians are ready for the physical manifestation and the supernatural changes that are going to occur in what we call our present reality. Our present reality is about ready to be violently shaken and reshaped. And if you're not prepared for that, biblically and in the power of the Holy Spirit, you're not going to be able to be victorious.
That's correct.
You're going to be, you were talking about this, just, you overcome with this mass delusion and stuff. But God knew this before the beginning of the world, and He has equipped us supernaturally to deal with it. Knowledge is power, and the truth is the most powerful thing in the world. And God wants you to know the truth, not be in some kind of bubble.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna. That pretty much wraps up that clip. Really, really great information. Anthony Patch. I encourage you guys to look him up, follow him. He's he shared a lot of information, and there's actually a video that I have posted on my Instagram channel where he just broke down the whole virus and the jab way back in 2013 on how they were going to utilize that. Which was this guy does his research. Let me just say that. And in the words of Tokati, demons are real. So one thing that he pointed out that I wanted to touch on was that how he stated that Christians are in this fog state where they're not really paying attention. And I think that's not just in Christianity, but in a lot of these religions, they're not paying attention to the spiritual side that's happening. They it's like they feel like they're supposed to just wait. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? When it comes to truth, you should be speaking out now, later, tomorrow, at any given time. We are in a constant fight to speak out because silence is compliance. So, I've met some, different people that they can quote scriptures off the top of their head. They know them word for word. And I'm like, well, how did you end up taking the jab? I mean, that's the enemy. That's biblical. You will not be able to buy or sell. So if you had to go if you wanted to be prophetic, that is what that is about. So it's like, when you think about the enemy, an enemy is just not going to walk up to you and say, hey, let me introduce myself. I'm Satan and I'm here to destroy you. No, you have to pay attention to the world you're living in, the things around you, and the signs and the symbols. So this is how you recognize the enemy. So that's just one thing I really get stirred up about, because that is such a true statement when I think about all these false prophets that told their people to take that jab. But the members didn't know they got paid an incentive on the back end. I bet you the members didn't know that they belonged to the world organization of churches, the World Church Organization ran by the Vatican. I bet you they didn't know that. That they made money off of taking people to take this bioweapon that changes your DNA, okay? That changes who you are to be human. As they stated, they're this godless entities, these researchers, these scientists, mad scientists that want to destroy God, everything that's natural. They want to make a new world of people that are soulless, without conscience, without empathy, a digital slave, a new form of slavery, digital, he called it digitized DNA. And this is exactly where we are. Digitized DNA. They have everything they need to understand everyone's DNA. This is why Dr. Lee Merritt talked about how not only is the jab poisonous and a bioweapon, but it's targeted. It's meant to impact certain people based on your DNA. And you know how they know what people's DNA is? Because we submitted to things like Ancestry.com, 23andMe, everyone that took one of them freaking PCR tests. The PCR test makes billions of copies of your DNA, not millions, but billions. So every time somebody took one of them swabs and sent it in, you just helped build their database so that they can continue to create bioweapons. I went on a little tangent there, but I just really get passionate when it comes to, these demons, these demonic reptilian psychopaths that's trying to destroy the world. But yeah, that was really, really a good clip. I mean, I've been going since 11 o'clock today. A lot of information was shared. I mean, I broke down what CERN was about. I shared the symbolism. I talked about the logo. I talked about the history. I, even broke down what chaos is. And a lot of people might not have heard that, but in the title it talks about what is CERN and order out of chaos. And this is what they're here to create is chaos. Chaos is deception. Chaos is disorder, disarray, confusion, madness, havoc, turmoil, uproar, and this is the ritual that they were serving to the Sheba god, which is the god of destruction. So, yeah, this is where we are. We'll be winding it down. I want to really thank everybody for coming on in. Let me read your comments, Freedom Warriors. Yeah, who gives these people the permission and permits to go ahead with this? Yeah, I want to know that too, because I haven't seen that on a ballot. I haven't seen a government official out here talking about vote for it. It's like these people they just come up with whatever they want to do, and then okay, we're gonna make everybody else be subjected to it. Hell no, we will not comply. It's time to destroy these NGO companies, destroy who they are and their power and their monopoly on everything. Let me see what else you said. I feel like I'm riding a unicorn now. Yeah. I mean, it's so many things. I mean, it's magic, it's spirit, it's dimensions, it's portals. It's all of the above. This is why I said it feels like they are running out of time, because when you think about how they're attacking us in every aspect of our lives, to destroy, corrupt, and manipulate and put us under this digital new world, this new digitized slavery world that they want to create, full of mindless robots, you know. So, but here we are, love and light. It's all always positive and love. And I always want to bring it back on the end note. No matter what these evil, wicked wizards are up to, we're going to continue to stand up, speak out, share the truth, because the light always outshines the darkness, no matter what they got going on. And if you can't change anything, one thing that you can change is you can change yourself. You can change your personal life, you can change your mind, and you can change how you participate in whatever they're creating, whatever they're rolling out, and whatever they have in store, because they can manipulate whatever they want on this plane. There is something much more beyond here, and that relates to our spirit that lives on beyond this plane. So, death is not the end. So, that's why I don't fear death, which is why I speak truth. People that fear things, this is why they hide their hand in the sand, and they want to stay comfortable in a bubble where they think if they just stay still enough in the corner, nothing's going to happen to them and nobody's going to, disrupt their life. But, this is a fight that the entire world is in. You will have to choose a side. There is no middleman where you can just ride it out. They're coming for everyone. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much money you got. As you can see, rich people are dropping dead. Poor people are dropping dead. Black people dropping dead. White people dropping dead. They don't care. They want to take down as many people as possible. So, that's all I pretty much got. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming in. This has really been a good little first test run. And I feel like I was able to share a lot of good information, some of the good points. I'm sure I'm going to go back and listen and figure out what what we can do the second time around. And I'm going to be bringing you a lot more different pieces of information because again, like I said, I want to get back to Dr. Stuckelberger. I want to get Dr. Robert Young on here, a few other doctors, so we can really look at some other things as it relates to what's happening with the WHO, this bioweapon, and all of the above. So, but yeah. Does anybody have any questions, anything that you want to state? Put it in the chat and I will definitely get it played for you. Let me pull up my little outro music. I actually love High Res and Jimmy Levy. If you haven't heard of them before, definitely check them out. He's always, dropping some good stuff and speaking out about what's going on. So I support him. But thanks everybody for coming in. And I guess I'm going to be winding it on down. Much love to you, Freedom Warrior. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody else that popped in and out and helped me through this first test session. And I guess we're just going to start wrapping it up. Thank you. I really want to play more of that clip from Dr. Asherberger talking about them, what she saw. Let me see if I can get that going before, and because I do have it time stamped to a certain spot. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can just get that going. But I guess maybe that's not, really necessary. I did play the clip from earlier. But yeah, so let's go ahead and wind it on down. Let me see if I got this time stamped correctly. 22:17. And let me bring this up. And then we'll hear this last piece and then I'll run the outro after that. Okay.
By what they were saying, and they said no, they are doing experiment, and some beings from other dimensions came or through the portal. It was the first time I heard that, and so I can say that is a fact. It was people who were employed by the CERN. Two of them confirmed that they know without being in direct experiment, that everybody in the CERN knows that twice at least they were reported to have that there was beings coming out from somewhere in the portal, and the second time that being left a scarf as a proof. So that's the only thing they know, but there is much more in the CERN. So the securities that talk to me say, oh, we can go in the CERN and down there is tunnels, and the tunnels go to the WHO, to the UN, they go to the WEF, and they go under the lake to the CIA, and they say it exists. Some military have confirmed to me that under the Lake of Geneva there is a center, there is a town, a city that apparently should have 400,000 people living there. I don't know how they breathe, but I've never been there, and there is tunnels all over. It's like Gruyere, Swiss cheese full of holes. Switzerland and the whole world is full of holes, and there are roads, and we don't know, and all these secret societies that's the problem. They are hiding and censoring us like they're doing today. They've done this for centuries. So I want to say this CERN is much bigger, and Switzerland has been the center of a lot of things, because a lot of things have happened in Switzerland. The Templars, the UN twice, Viking big fights with Napoleon. But I think Switzerland is because also Israel has been very attacked because of Jerusalem, because they're attacking there where they want to have the portals and the big mountains and, Mount Shasta, the Mont Blanc, the Monte Bianco is where all the shamans from the world come, and they say that that's a very important mountain. And so they're attacking those specific places and going where the light is to get that energy, like vampires. And that's why Geneva is a very ambiguous city. It's beautiful, but the energy of the Freemason is everywhere. And we have actually, the Freemasons are buried here who funded the United Nations. And I think it's the lodge of a Scottish lodge, a British lodge, and one from France that has built. Everybody knows in the UN, even the Security Council, sure. There's a painting in the back of the Security Council. I invite everybody to go and type and see the image. You will see that this is nothing to do with Christianity. It is an Antichrist picture, an image.
All right, so that's pretty much the end of that session. They're going to be talking about something else. But again, I want to thank everybody for coming on in today, and lots of good information shared. If you missed anything, I don't know, I believe it's recorded. If not, you can send me a message. I will send you to the link. You can follow Urban Educators YouTube page. This definitely will be posted on the YouTube as well as on the Twitter Spaces. So thanks everybody again. Lots of love. We're still in this fight. Remember, we are the majority, they are the minority, and power is the people.
We will not comply with the institution's sick illusion. No, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution. We will not comply with the institution's sick illusion. No, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution.
The revolution won't be televised. Government been telling lies. If you're not with us, you better step aside. Witnessing a genocide. Everything is centralized. The food that we consuming, they spraying it all with pesticides. Easily identify the sheep and the snake, the real and the fake, giving us a reason to pray. I'ma make my own choices. A voice for the voiceless. They trying to destroy us, avoiding the poison. It's all pointless if you don't have a purpose. If you read the verses, you'll know who we versing. Government can't tell you what your worth is. Look deeper than the surface. They don't even want you researching or asking questions. We all being tested. Shh. Shut your mouth, they comply, that's the message. Want you depressed on prescriptions that mess with your head. Got you stressing, suppressing expression.
We will not comply with the institution's sick illusion. No, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution. We will not comply with the institution's sick illusion. No, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution.
Keep the money, I would rather have my soul. They want power and control, that's their number one goal. All my friends turn to foes, look how easily they fold. Even Nazis say they were doing what they told. Walking down this road all alone in the cold, but my soul never sold. I'm exposing the clothes. God has chosen this role. All of those who oppose want me hopeless and broke, like I'm Noah on boats. I'm just trying to tell them all about the flood. I can feel it in my bones, I can feel it in my blood. Man, I came up out the mud, only God is my judge. I don't listen to these politicians, they the real thugs. Won't comply with the lies, they disguise it as science. They want you compliant, the media's biased. These corporate giants are capitalizing on us by dividing, but I